Imagine this. You are lying in bed tonight, the world finally quiet. The noise of the day fades, but in your mind a question lingers. What if everything you were ever told about God was incomplete? What if the distant deity you prayed to was never outside of you, but always within you, speaking in the first words you ever learned to say, I am? Stay with me, because in the next few hours, we are not here for entertainment. We are here to uncover a secret that has been hidden in plain sight. A secret that prophets hinted at, that scriptures whispered, and that Neville Goddard shouted from dimly lit lecture halls in New York City more than 70 years ago. And once you hear it, once you feel it, it will never leave you. Start this journey with intention. Write in the comments, God guides my path. Let it be your public declaration. Neville Goddard was not a priest, nor a philosopher, locked in an ivory tower. He was a man who walked the same streets you walk, felt the same doubts you feel, and yet carried inside him a revelation so daring, so radical, that most of the world was not ready to listen. In the mid-20th century, while the world was rebuilding from war, Neville stood up and declared, your imagination creates your reality. Not chance, not fate, not even prayer to a far-off sky, but imagination, your own consciousness, was the true creative power. And in a time like ours, when the world feels uncertain, when people are searching for answers outside themselves, in politics, in markets, in religions, Neville's message burns brighter than ever. Turn within, discover the God you have always carried in the word I am. For centuries, you were told that God was elsewhere, in a church, in the sky, in a distant heaven, that you were small, powerless, a beggar at the gates of divinity. But Neville tore the curtain. He said, the only God you will ever know is your own wonderful human imagination. Think about that. Not imagination as fantasy, not daydreams, but the living presence that imagines you right now. The awareness that says, I am tired, I am hopeful, I am afraid. That voice, soft, constant, undeniable, is the very same that the Bible names as the great I am. Moses, standing before the burning bush, asked for the name of God. The answer was simple, I am that I am. Not I was, not I will be, just I am. Neville's audacity was to point at you, at me, and say, that same I am is your own awareness. That is God. Now I know what you're thinking. If this is true, why wasn't I told before? Why do preachers, parents, and teachers all insist on a God outside? Because a God outside keeps you small. A God far away keeps you dependent. But the truth, your truth, sets you free. And freedom can be frightening. It means there is no one left to blame. No more waiting for miracles to descend. It means that every thought, every assumption, every inner word whispered with I am is the seed of your tomorrow. Scary, yes, but also the most empowering revelation you will ever hear. Close your eyes for a moment. Whisper softly, I am. No name after it. No adjective. Just the raw, pulsing awareness, I am. Feel it. That center of being that exists before you attach any label. That's it. That's the doorway Neville asked us to walk through. Because the moment you add a word, I am wealthy, I am loved, I am free, you are clothing the invisible with form. You are commanding the law of assumption. And whether you know it or not, you've been doing this all your life. I am unlucky. I am too old. I am always struggling. These are prayers too. They are rituals you have repeated until the world obeyed. So tonight, Neville invites you to change the prayer, to assume the noble, the beautiful, the wealthy, the loved, and to persist until reality bows. Picture a prisoner in a cell, clutching rusty bars, dreaming of freedom. All his life, he has begged the guard, the warden, anyone with a uniform to open the door. But one night, he looks down and sees a key in his own hand. It had been there from the beginning. This is you. You are not waiting on heaven. Heaven waits on you. The key is two words, I am. Now stay close, because here is where the mystery deepens. Neville did not only preach that imagination is God, he gave methods, rituals, techniques that open the door in the most practical way. He called it living in the end. He spoke of the revision technique. He whispered of sats, the state akin to sleep, where your imagination reshapes tomorrow as you drift into dream. But before we rush to the how, let's linger in the why. Because if you grasp this truth, if you truly feel that the God you sought outside lives as your own I am, then every technique becomes natural. You no longer beg, you assume. You no longer hope, you decree. You no longer chase blessings, you embody them. So tonight, as this journey begins, I ask you not to believe me. Don't believe Neville blindly. Instead, test it. Tonight, when you close your eyes, pause for a moment and whisper, I am. And then let one noble word follow. I am free, I am loved, I am abundant, I am healed. Do it softly, do it sincerely, and let the echo carry you into sleep. Because the door is no longer locked. The God you seek is awake in you. And this is only the beginning. You have felt the stirring of the truth. You have whispered, I am, and sensed the key turning inside you. But the question still echoes. How do I use this? How do I take this fragile understanding and make it into flesh, into money, into love, into health, into freedom? This is where Neville became not just a preacher of mystery, but a guide of practice. He gave us techniques that are at once simple and profound. Rituals that anyone can try, even tonight, and yet so few persist long enough to see the harvest. The first of these is called living in the end. Imagine this. You stand at the edge of your desire, whether it is wealth, or a healed body, or a reconciled relationship. Most people stand outside it like beggars, praying, please God, one day give me this. But Neville says cross the line. Live as though it were already true. Not tomorrow, not after effort, not in some distant future, but now. To live in the end is to clothe yourself with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to walk as though you are already there. Think of an actor stepping onto the stage. He does not hope to be the king. He does not plead with the audience to believe. He puts on the costume, raises his chin, and speaks with authority. For those moments on the stage, he is the king, and the audience bows. This is you. The stage is your inner world. When you put on the costume of your desire, wealth, love, peace, your world must eventually rearrange itself to match. Let me guide you. Close your eyes for a moment, and imagine the scene that would imply your wish is already fulfilled. If you long for wealth, do not picture stacks of bills, for that keeps money as an object far away. Instead, imagine the relief, the freedom, the joy of telling a friend, it is done. I am free. My debts are cleared. Hear their voice congratulating you. Feel the handshake, the hug. Sense the lightness in your chest. This is living in the end. It is not about the details of how, but about the naturalness of being. Now take this deeper. Neville taught a method called revision. He said the past is not stone, it is clay. Every night before sleep, look back at the scenes of your day that brought pain, shame, regret. Instead of replaying them as they were, rewrite them as you wish they had been. If you quarreled with a friend, imagine reconciliation. If you failed in a task, imagine success. If you heard no, imagine yes. The mind cannot distinguish between memory and imagination when felt with intensity. So the revised scene becomes the seed that reshapes not only tomorrow, but even the record of yesterday. I remember Neville telling the story of a woman whose child had been mocked at school. She came to him in tears. That night, Neville asked her to sit quietly, close her eyes, and replay the scene, but with a twist instead of mockery. Hear the laughter of friendship, the joy of being accepted. She did it, night after night. Weeks later, the child returned home radiant, embraced by the very classmates who once scorned him. Did the past change, or did her assumption bend reality to a new line? To Neville, the answer was simple. Imagination creates reality, even retroactively. Now let us step into another of his profound teachings, sats, the state akin to sleep. This is the golden doorway, the bridge between waking and dream. It is that drowsy, floating state when your body is heavy, but your mind is still aware, when the border between the real and the imagined dissolves. In this state, the seeds you plant take root most deeply. Let us enter it together. Lie down or sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Let your breath slow in and out, like waves on a quiet shore. Feel your body sinking into stillness. With every exhale, let tension drain away. Imagine you are on the edge of sleep, but hold a thread of awareness. Now call forth the scene that implies your wish fulfilled. Make it short, simple, repeatable. If it is wealth, perhaps it is the act of looking at your bank statement and seeing abundance. If it is love, perhaps it is the warm weight of a hand holding yours. If it is health, perhaps it is the feeling of running, free and strong. Do not strain. Do not force. Simply relax into the feeling as though it were real. Now, let it lull you into sleep. Neville said, what you fall asleep in, you will wake up to. The world mirrors the last impression left upon your mind before dream. So if you fall asleep in fear, you reap fear. If you fall asleep in gratitude, you reap blessings. Tonight, fall asleep in the end. Fall asleep as the person you wish to be. There is a law that Neville loved to speak of, the law of reversibility. If a physical fact can produce an emotion, then the emotion can produce the physical fact. For instance, receiving a check in the mail produces joy. But if you evoke joy deeply and sincerely, it must in time produce the event that matches it. This is not wishful thinking. It is law. Just as heat produces boiling, and boiling produces heat, the relationship is reversible. So tonight, do not wait for the letter, the promotion, the healing. Instead, call forth the feeling they would bring, and rest in it until it becomes natural. But beware, the bridge of incidents may not look as you expect. Neville warned that the path to your manifestation may twist and turn, sometimes even through seeming loss, before it blossoms into gain. He told of a man who lost his job after assuming wealth, only to find that the loss led to a far greater opportunity. The world reshuffles itself, events conspire, people move, all to deliver what you have assumed. Your task is not to dictate the how, but to persist in the end. And when the world shouts back the opposite, when bills pile, when the body aches, when the friend ignores, Neville whispers, ignore appearances. Do not let the shadow deceive you. Reality is not what your senses scream in the moment, but what your imagination has already decreed. The senses report the past. Imagination creates the future. Now, let me tell you a story. Imagine a woman burdened by debt. Every night she falls asleep, rehearsing her fear. She sees bills in red ink. She hears the phone ring with collectors. She feels shame in her chest. And so, every morning, the same world greets her. But one night, she hears Neville's words. She decides to test it. She sits quietly, breathes, and imagines instead a letter stamped, paid in full. She sees herself smiling, relieved, thanking God within. At first it feels foolish, unreal, but she persists, night after night. And slowly, the world bends. A forgotten claim pays out. An unexpected bonus arrives. A friend offers help. One by one, the debts vanish. Until the day comes when the very scene she imagined becomes her lived reality. She holds the letter in her hands, stamped paid in full. Did she cause it? The world will say coincidence. But she knows. Imagination created reality. This is not magic. This is law. Few believe it, fewer test it, fewer still persist. But those who do discover that the God they sought outside has been whispering all along, I am. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, choose wisely the garments you wear. Will you wear fear, or will you clothe yourself in abundance, in love, in freedom? The choice is yours, and the law will not fail. Now let us go deeper. You have learned to live in the end, to revise the past, to enter the state akin to sleep. But to make this knowledge alive, you must practice with your whole being. Tonight I will guide you through visions, scenes you can inhabit until they become more real than the world outside your eyelids. These are not idle daydreams, they are rehearsals of destiny, rehearsals that shape the stage of tomorrow. Let us begin with wealth. Close your eyes. Imagine you are seated at a familiar desk, in front of a computer screen, or holding your phone. You log into your bank account, not with anxiety, but with calm assurance. The numbers load slowly, as they always do. But when they appear, you see abundance, more than enough. So much more that your breath catches. You whisper to yourself, almost afraid to believe, "This is mine. It is real." Feel the warmth rise in your chest. Feel your shoulders relax, as the weight you have carried for years finally slips away. Imagine calling someone you love, telling them the news. Hear their joy. Hear them say, "I knew it would happen for you." Do not strain to see every detail of the numbers. Instead, feel the sensation of relief, of security, of freedom. Let this feeling wash over you until it lulls you into sleep. Now, shift the vision. Imagine yourself at a table, a stack of envelopes before you. You open one marked in red. Once it was a demand for payment, but tonight you see it stamped with bold letters, "Paid in full." One after another, each envelope carries the same message. Paid in full. Paid in full. You laugh, a laugh of joy and disbelief mingled together. You whisper thank you, but not to a God outside. You thank the I am within, the silent power that clothed itself as your imagination. Rest in this joy until the feeling is natural, for the law decrees what feels natural to you must become your world. Now let us turn to health. Imagine your body as you wish it to be, strong, vital, whole. Picture yourself waking in the morning, swinging your legs out of bed with energy. Feel the floor beneath your feet. Walk to the mirror. Look into your own eyes and see vitality glowing back at you. If you have carried pain, imagine bending, stretching, moving freely, and notice the smile spreading across your face. Whisper, "I am healed, I am whole." Do not wait for evidence. Feel it now. For the body is but shadow. The real substance is your assumption. If love is your longing, let us enter that scene together. Imagine you are seated in a quiet cafe, across from someone whose eyes hold affection for you. Hear the gentle clink of cups, the murmur of voices around you, but focus only on the warmth of the gaze before you. Feel the hand that reaches across the table to hold yours. Hear the words, "I love you. I am so glad we found each other." Let your heart swell, not with longing, but with gratitude, as though it were already true. Because in this inner scene, it is true, and what is true within must echo without. And for freedom, picture yourself walking through a door into sunlight. Behind you are heavy chains, doors of iron, shadows of fear. Ahead of you stretches an open field, wide and endless. You breathe deeply, the air filling your lungs like a promise. Each step feels lighter, freer. You whisper, "I am free. I am no longer bound by the past, no longer chained by doubt. I walk in liberty." See yourself smiling, even laughing, as the horizon expands before you. This is your truth now. This is your reality. These visions may feel faint at first, like smoke slipping through your fingers. Do not worry. Persist. Repeat them night after night. The power lies not in straining, but in naturalness. Neville said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact." The world outside is slow clay. Your imagination is the potter. Tonight you shape, tomorrow you behold. But hear this warning. The bridge of incidents may be strange. A door may close before the right one opens. A friendship may falter before a truer love arrives. A job may vanish before the career you longed for appears. Do not despair. These are not failures. They are the rearranging of the pieces, the shifting of the stage to bring the scene you have rehearsed within into expression without. Trust the bridge. Walk across it with faith. Now let us practice again. Lie back. Breathe slowly. Whisper softly, "I am." Let the words settle in your chest, Add to them your chosen garment. I am wealthy. I am loved. I am healed. I am free. Repeat until the words no longer feel like effort, but like truth. Repeat until the words dissolve into sleep. For sleep is the great womb of creation. What you conceive there must be born here. And when doubt creeps in, as it surely will, practice revision. Did someone insult you today? Replay it tonight, but change their words. Hear them praise you instead. Did you fail at a task? Replay it tonight as success. Did you feel rejected? Replay it tonight as embraced. Do this until the new memory feels as vivid as the old. In time, the old fades and the new becomes your history. Do not underestimate the power of this practice. For the mind, imagination is reality, and reality obeys the mind. So tonight, when you close your eyes, do not fall asleep in worry. Fall asleep in wealth, in love, in freedom. Let the last impression stamped upon your mind be one of triumph, and watch as the world bends to mirror it. There was once a man who came to Neville, a man broken by disappointment. He had spent years in a job that drained him, a life that felt like a cage. Every night he rehearsed his misery without even knowing it. He fell asleep whispering, "I am tired, I am stuck, I am a failure." And every morning the world answered, "Yes, you are." But Neville did not scold him. He simply said, "Try this tonight. Before you sleep, close your eyes and see yourself as the man you wish to be. Not in the process of becoming, but already there. Do not ask how. Do not worry when. Just wear the feeling and sleep in it." The man resisted. It felt foolish, unreal. But desperation can make us willing. That night he imagined receiving a letter with a new job offer, one that brought freedom and recognition. He heard the words, "Congratulations." He felt the firm handshake, and though it seemed like fantasy, he persisted. Night after night, he rehearsed the scene. Weeks passed, then months. Until one morning, a letter did arrive. The company where he had once been rejected called him back with an offer better than he had dared to hope. He said later, "It was as though I had been living two lives, the one of despair outside, and the one of victory within. And then one day, they became the same life." This is the secret most will never test. They hear and nod. They say, "Yes, imagination is powerful," but they return to worry, to fear, to begging. They forget that every thought, clothed in "I am," is a seed that must bear fruit. You cannot plant thorns and expect roses. You cannot fall asleep in poverty and wake in wealth. You must be the change within before the world bows without. Now imagine this story for yourself. Tonight you lie down, heavy with the day. The bills sit on the counter. The body aches. The silence of loneliness presses in. But instead of rehearsing it once more, you close your eyes and breathe. You whisper, "I am." And instead of adding sorrow, you add freedom. I am wealthy. I am loved. I am whole. At first it feels like a lie. But as you repeat it, as you clothe yourself in it, something softens. Your chest loosens. Your heart believes. You drift into sleep, not as the beggar, but as the heir. And in the unseen, the stage begins to shift. People move. Circumstances bend. Doors that were once locked begin to open. This is the bridge of incidents. It may not happen in a flash, but it happens with certainty. Do you see? The law is impartial. It does not reward the worthy and punish the guilty. It simply reflects the seed planted. Sow fear, reap fear. Sow wealth, reap wealth. Sow love, reap love. For God is not mocked. As a man sows, so shall he reap. And your imagination is the soil. Let us make this more real. Imagine now a woman named Sarah. For years, she longed for companionship. She prayed, begged, pleaded, but always fell asleep whispering, "I am alone." And so alone she remained, until one evening, weary of despair, she tried Neville's teaching. She sat in silence, closed her eyes, and imagined sitting at a dinner table with a partner across from her. She heard the clink of silverware, the laughter of conversation, the warmth of a hand reaching for hers. She rehearsed this night after night, until the loneliness felt like a memory and love felt natural. Months later, through a chain of events she could never have planned, she met the very man who matched the feeling she had lived in. They married within the year, and she said, "It was as though I called him out of the shadows with my imagination." These stories are not meant to entertain you. They are meant to challenge you. Will you continue to plant the same seeds of doubt and reap the same harvest? Or will you dare tonight to plant something new? Close your eyes once more. Whisper, "I am." Add the garment you choose: wealth, love, health, freedom. Feel it. Wear it. Persist until it becomes natural. And watch, for the world must obey. There was once a man named David. For years he carried the weight of sickness. His body betrayed him daily with pain and exhaustion. Doctors told him to accept it, to learn to live with it, and for a long time he believed them. Every morning he woke and whispered, "I am sick." Every night he closed his eyes in defeat. But then he heard Neville speak. He heard the words, "I am is God." Whatever you attach to, "I am" becomes your world. Something stirred. That night, instead of rehearsing the sickness, he tried something new. He lay still and whispered, "I am well." His mind resisted. His body screamed. But he persisted. He imagined himself walking freely, climbing stairs without pain, feeling the joy of strength. He fell asleep in that scene. Night after night, he practiced. Sometimes he wept in frustration. Sometimes he doubted. But still, he persisted. And slowly, something shifted. One morning he woke and realized the pain was less. Weeks later, he found himself walking farther than before. Months later, the sickness that once defined him was gone. He said, "I died to the old self. I buried, I am sick, and was resurrected as I am well." This is not a tale of chance. It is the law. The body obeys the assumption. The world reflects the feeling. When you dare to attach the eternal name to health, health must rise. Now let us imagine this together. Close your eyes and breathe. Feel your body as it is. The aches, the weariness, the heaviness. Acknowledge it, but do not bow to it. Now whisper, "I am." Add the word whole. Feel it, even if just for a flicker. See yourself standing tall, walking freely, laughing with ease. Hear the sound of your own laughter. Feel the strength in your legs, the clarity in your breath. Drift into this vision, as though it were a memory, not a dream. Sleep in it. And as you do, the unseen begins to rearrange. Another story. A woman named Maria longed for financial freedom. Her bills piled high. Every day, she said, "I am broke. I am struggling." And her world faithfully reflected it. Then one evening, she tried Neville's exercise. She sat in her small apartment, closed her eyes, and imagined herself opening a bank statement with a balance so high it made her smile. She felt the cool paper in her hand. She heard the rustle of the envelope. She whispered, "I am wealthy." At first her mind laughed, but she persisted. She imagined herself shopping freely, paying bills with ease, helping her family with joy. Months later, through what seemed like coincidence, she was offered a new position at work. Then investments she had once forgotten began to grow. Money flowed in ways she had never expected. She said, "It was not the job. It was not the investments. It was me. I changed my I am." And the world bowed to it. Do you see? These are not isolated miracles. They are testimonies of the law in action. And what they did, you can do. For the law is impartial. It does not say, "This one may prosper, and that one must remain poor." It says, "What you believe, you become." Now imagine yourself in Maria's place. Tonight, before you sleep, see yourself holding the evidence of wealth, not wishing for it, but already having it. Imagine the relief of paying every bill with joy. Imagine the freedom of giving without fear. Imagine yourself walking into a store and buying what you need without hesitation. Feel the freedom. Whisper, "I am wealthy." Sleep in that truth and let the law bring it forth. And there are stories of love restored. One man came to Neville, after his marriage had crumbled. His wife had left. His heart was broken. He wept and said, "She is gone. I am alone." Neville asked him, "What do you want?" The man said, "I want her back. I want our love renewed." Neville said, "Then imagine it. Do not see her as gone. See her with you. Do not say, 'I will have her back.' Say, 'I am with her now.'" That night the man imagined himself at home, his wife's laughter echoing in the room. He felt her hand in his. He rehearsed this nightly. Weeks passed, then one day, she called. At first, just to talk, then to meet. Within months, they were reconciled, their love stronger than before. He said, "It was as though the whole world conspired to bring us back together. But it was no conspiracy. It was the law. So now I ask you, who do you long to see? Who do you wish to reconcile with? Do not see them as absent. See them as present. Do not rehearse the pain of loss. Rehearse the joy of reunion. Imagine the sound of their voice calling your name. Feel their presence beside you. Whisper, 'I am loved. I am united.' And persist until the world cannot help but reflect it. And there are testimonies of purpose. One young man said he felt lost, without direction. He drifted from job to job, relationship to relationship, always empty. He told Neville, "I don't know who I am." Neville replied, "Then decide. You are not bound to the old story. You can say, 'I am purposeful, I am guided, I am free,' and the world will show you the way." That night the young man lay still and whispered, "I am guided." He imagined himself speaking on a stage, inspiring others. He felt the applause, the joy of making an impact. At first, it felt ridiculous, but he persisted. Soon after, opportunities arose for him to volunteer, then to lead, then to teach. Within years, he had become the very man he had once imagined. He said, "I stopped waiting for purpose to come to me. I declared it, and then it found me." So now, imagine yourself in his place. What do you long for? A career? A calling? A purpose greater than the daily grind? Whisper, "I am guided. I am purposeful. I am free." Feel it. See yourself standing where you long to stand, doing what you long to do, being who you long to be. Sleep in it. Persist, and the bridge will rise beneath your feet. There was once a woman named Eleanor. She was in her late 50s, and for most of her life, she had lived in fear of never being enough. She carried herself with a heaviness, always whispering to herself, "I am overlooked. I am unwanted." And because she carried this inner story, the world treated her exactly as she assumed. People ignored her. Jobs passed her by. Friends drifted away. One day, weary of this endless cycle, she stumbled upon Neville's words. She read, "Change your I am, and you change your world." At first, she laughed bitterly. Could it really be so simple? But something in her heart burned. That night she tried. She lay in her bed, tears still drying on her cheeks, and she whispered, "I am chosen. I am wanted. I am loved." She felt like a liar. Her mind argued. Her heart resisted. But she persisted. Night after night she repeated it. She imagined people smiling when she entered a room. She imagined her phone ringing with invitations. She imagined her presence being celebrated. Months later, she found herself in circles she had once thought closed to her. A new job valued her deeply. Friendships blossomed. Even her children, once distant, began to seek her company more and more. She said, "The world outside did not change until the world inside changed first. I was the one rejecting myself all those years. When I assumed I was chosen, life chose me." Now close your eyes and imagine yourself in Eleanor's place. Perhaps you too have felt unseen, unheard, unwanted. Tonight whisper not, "I am ignored," but "I am celebrated. I am loved. I am chosen." Feel the warmth of recognition in your chest. Imagine a friend's eyes lighting up when they see you. Hear the words, "I'm so glad you're here." Let this feeling carry you into sleep, and watch as the unseen rearranges itself for you. There was also the story of a man named Robert, who lived under the crushing weight of debt. Every day, he opened his mailbox with dread, seeing bills marked in red, demands he could not meet. His inner cry was always the same: I am drowning, I am trapped. Until one evening, he sat in silence and remembered Neville's teaching. He said, if imagination creates reality, then I must stop imagining my chains and begin imagining my freedom. That night he held a letter in his mind, but instead of red ink, he saw the words paid in full. He felt the joy of relief, the lightness in his chest. He imagined himself calling a friend and saying, it's over, I am free. He persisted in this image nightly. At first, nothing changed. The bills still came. The numbers still glared, but he refused to bow to them. He ignored appearances and clung to his vision. And then, slowly, a series of events unfolded. A forgotten inheritance, an unexpected promotion, small streams of money that began to merge into a river. Within a year, the mountain of debt was gone. He said, it was as though the world had been conspiring against me, and then suddenly it conspired for me. But it was never the world that changed. It was me. Now see yourself in Robert's place. The burden may feel heavy, but the law is impartial. Tonight, imagine the freedom of opening your accounts and seeing abundance. Imagine yourself paying every bill with ease, even with joy. Imagine the moment of freedom when the chains fall away. Whisper, I am free, I am abundant, I am wealthy. Persist in this feeling until it is natural, and know that the bridge of incidents is already being built for you. There was another woman named Claire who carried grief like a stone in her heart. Her husband had passed, and she felt that life itself had ended with him. Every night she whispered, I am alone, I am broken. But one day, she encountered Neville's words. To the pure all things are pure. Nothing is impossible to the imagination. Something in her stirred. That night she tried revision. She sat quietly, closed her eyes, and replayed the day, not as one of loneliness, but of companionship. She imagined a friend visiting her. She imagined laughter in her kitchen. She imagined the warmth of human presence filling her home. At first, the silence after her visualization felt even heavier, but she persisted. Night after night, she revised. And then one day, a neighbor knocked on her door, asking for help with groceries. Then came invitations. Then new friendships. Within months, her house, once a tomb, had become a place of life and joy. She said, I cannot bring back the past, but I can revise the present. And in doing so, I brought myself back to life. Now imagine yourself in Claire's place. Whatever grief you carry, tonight you need not fall asleep in sorrow. Instead, imagine joy. Imagine companionship. Imagine love filling the room around you. Whisper, I am not alone. I am loved. I am whole. And persist in that assumption until the walls of your world echo it back. And there was the story of James, a young man tormented by fear of failure. He dreamed of starting his own business, but every time he tried, his inner voice shouted, I am not enough. I am destined to fail. And so he never even began. Until one evening he read Neville's lecture, Faith is Loyalty to Unseen Reality. He realized he had been loyal to his fear, not to his vision. That night he whispered, I am successful. He saw himself shaking hands with clients, signing papers, celebrating victories. He felt the thrill of accomplishment as though it were already done. The next weeks were filled with setbacks, but he refused to let go. He ignored appearances. He persisted in his vision. And soon, the right partner appeared. The right opportunity opened, and his business grew beyond what he had dared to imagine. He said, the hardest part was believing before I could see. But once I dared, the world rushed to meet me. Now imagine yourself in James's place. Perhaps you have a dream long buried under fear. Tonight, resurrect it. Whisper, I am capable. I am successful. I am victorious. Feel it. See it. Persist until the fear fades and the vision becomes the only reality. For the world must mirror your inner loyalty. There was once a woman named Helen. For 20 years, she lived in the shadow of poverty. Her childhood was marked by scarcity, her adulthood by endless bills and low-paying jobs. Deep in her heart, she always whispered the same words: I am poor, I am unlucky, I am destined for less. And so life confirmed her belief. But one evening, by what she called a miracle, she stumbled upon Neville's words. She read the line, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. At first she thought it was nonsense. How could a thought change her reality? But something in her was desperate enough to try. That night she lay on her bed and imagined herself walking into a store, filling her cart freely, paying without hesitation. She imagined the cashier smiling, handing her change and saying, "You always shop here like a queen." She felt a warmth in her chest as she repeated silently, "I am wealthy, I am free." Weeks passed. At first, nothing changed, but she noticed her spirit lifting. She began to walk taller, to speak with more confidence, and then small doors began to open. A new position was offered at her work. A friend recommended her for a better opportunity. Within a year, she was earning more than she had dreamed possible. She said, "It wasn't the money that changed first, it was me. When I stopped saying I am poor and began saying I am wealthy." Life had no choice but to reflect it. Now see yourself in Helen's place. Whatever scarcity you face, tonight you can change the prayer. No longer whisper, "I am broke." Instead whisper, "I am abundant. I am free. I am wealthy." Let the feeling of relief flood your chest. Imagine the joy of generosity, of giving freely to those you love. Sleep in that vision, and let the unseen weave the bridge to its fulfillment. There was another story of a man named Samuel. He was given a diagnosis that chilled him to the bone. Doctors told him his condition was incurable, that his days were numbered. He went home broken, his mind repeating, "I am dying, I am helpless." And his body mirrored his despair. But then, almost by accident, he encountered Neville's lecture, "Feeling is the Secret." He read, "Health or sickness are both states of consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality." Something inside him rebelled against his death sentence. That night he lay on his bed, body weak, but imagination alive. He whispered, "I am whole, I am healed." He imagined himself running along the beach, feeling the cool sand beneath his feet, the wind in his face. He persisted, night after night. Sometimes he broke down in tears, but he returned again to the vision. Weeks later, to the surprise of his doctors, his condition stabilized. Months later, improvement. A year later, no trace of the disease. He said, "The old me died the night I buried. I am dying and resurrected. I am healed." Now imagine yourself in Samuel's place. Perhaps you too carry pain in your body or a diagnosis that weighs on your mind. Tonight, refuse to rehearse the fear. Instead, whisper, "I am whole. I am strong. I am renewed." See yourself walking freely, laughing loudly, living fully. Feel it as though it were already done. Sleep in it, and trust the unseen law that always fulfills the assumption. There was the story of Anna, who lived half a century in quiet despair. She had raised children, cared for others, but when she was left alone in her 60s, she asked herself, "What is my purpose now? Who am I without them?" Every night she whispered, "I am useless, I am empty," and life reflected her confession. But then she read Neville's words, "Man is all imagination, and God is man, and exists in us, and we in him." For the first time she considered that purpose was not given from outside, but chosen from within. That night she whispered, "I am guided, I am valuable, I am purposeful." She imagined herself standing before a group, sharing wisdom, being received with gratitude. She felt the applause, the warmth of connection. At first it was only a fragile dream, but soon opportunities began to arise. She joined a community group, then she began to teach others. Eventually she became a mentor to many. She said, "I had thought my life was ending, but truly it was just beginning." Purpose was never gone. It was waiting for me to claim it. Now imagine yourself in Anna's place. Perhaps you too have asked, what is the meaning of my life? Tonight, refuse the whisper of emptiness. Instead, declare, I am guided, I am purposeful, I am needed. Imagine yourself doing what fills your heart, being celebrated for your gifts. Sleep in that vision and watch as life opens the doors that match your assumption. And there was a man named Thomas, haunted by the fear of death itself. Every night he whispered, I am afraid, I am fragile, and the shadow of death loomed over him. But Neville taught that death is not the end, but a change of state, that man is imagination, and imagination is eternal. Thomas decided to test this. He lay down one night and whispered, I am eternal, I am free. He imagined himself stepping from one room to another, not dying but continuing. He imagined his loved ones safe, his soul at peace. Slowly, the terror that once gripped him began to fade. He said, I discovered that what I truly am cannot die. I am imagination, and imagination is eternal. Now see yourself in Thomas's place. Whatever fear grips you, fear of loss, fear of ending, tonight whisper, I am eternal. I am safe. I am free. Feel the peace of knowing that what you truly are cannot be broken, cannot be ended. Sleep in that peace, and let your nights become rest instead of fear. There was once a man named Peter. For decades he carried the weight of rejection. In childhood he was told he would never amount to anything. In school he was mocked. In adulthood he felt invisible at work, overlooked in relationships. His inner whisper was always the same. I am rejected. I am not enough. The world reflected it with precision. Until one night he heard Neville's words. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. That night he sat in silence, trembling with doubt, and whispered for the first time, I am accepted. I am worthy. I am enough. He imagined himself standing in a room where every face turned toward him with warmth. He heard a voice saying, we are glad you are here. You belong. At first it felt like fantasy, but he persisted. Week after week he lived in this inner scene. Slowly life shifted. He was offered new opportunities. Relationships blossomed. People began to treat him with respect he had never known before. He said, I spent half my life begging for acceptance outside. The moment I assumed it inside, the world bowed. Now imagine yourself in Peter's place. Perhaps you too have carried the heavy cloak of rejection. Tonight whisper a new truth. I am worthy. I am chosen. I am celebrated. Feel the warmth of belonging in your chest. Imagine eyes lighting up at your presence. Sleep in this vision, and let the unseen weave the world to match it. There was also the story of Grace, a single mother raising 3 children. Her days were filled with exhaustion, her nights with worry. She whispered constantly, I am overwhelmed. I am failing. And her life mirrored it. Until one evening, while listening to a recording of Neville's lectures, she heard, dare to assume you are what you long to be. Persist until it becomes natural. Something in her shifted. That night, after putting her children to bed, she closed her eyes and imagined a home filled with laughter, abundance, peace. She imagined herself radiant with strength, her children thriving. She whispered, I am strong. I am provided for. I am blessed. She persisted, even when the bills piled up, even when the weight of life pressed hard. Weeks later, a friend offered unexpected help. Then doors opened for better work. Opportunities came that she had once thought impossible. Within a year, her entire life looked different. She said, it was not that I became strong, it was that I realized I already was. The moment I claimed it, life reflected it. Now place yourself in Grace's story. Whatever burden you carry, tonight you can change the inner cry. Do not whisper, I am overwhelmed. Instead whisper, I am capable. I am strong. I am provided for. Imagine yourself radiant, your home filled with peace. Feel the relief, the gratitude. Sleep in that feeling, and let tomorrow rise to meet it. There was the story of Daniel, who longed for creative success. He was an artist, But for years no one noticed his work. He whispered every day, I am unseen, I am mediocre, and the world agreed. But then he read Neville's teaching on living in the end. He realized he had been living in the end of failure. That night he whispered, I am celebrated, I am accomplished. He imagined his art hanging on walls, people admiring it, hearing the words, this is brilliant. At first, nothing happened, but he persisted. He lived in the inner celebration, night after night. Months later, a gallery owner stumbled upon his work and offered him a show. The show sold out. Opportunities multiplied. He said, the success was always there, waiting for me to assume it. The moment I did, the world delivered. Now imagine yourself in Daniel's place. Whatever dream lies inside you, perhaps long buried, tonight dare to live in its fulfillment. Whisper, I am accomplished. I am celebrated. I am successful. Feel the joy of achievement, as though it were already here. Sleep in that scene, and the law will deliver it. And then there was Margaret, who carried bitterness for decades. Someone had wronged her deeply. And every night she whispered, I am betrayed. I am wounded. The wound never healed. But then she discovered Neville's teaching of revision. That night she replayed the painful memory. But this time she imagined forgiveness. She saw the person who hurt her speaking words of kindness instead. She saw reconciliation. She whispered, I am free, I am healed. She repeated this nightly. Slowly, the bitterness melted. Months later, by what seemed like chance, she encountered the very person she had once hated. To her astonishment, the meeting was peaceful. The old wound had dissolved. She said, I did not wait for the world to change. I changed it within, and when I did, the world followed. Now place yourself in Margaret's place. Perhaps you too carry an old wound, a memory that poisons your heart. Tonight, revise it. See it unfold as you wish it had. Whisper, I am free. I am healed. I am whole. Sleep in this revision, and let the Lord dissolve the chains of the past. There was a young man named Michael. He had grown up hearing his parents say, again and again, we can't afford that. Life is hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. And without realizing it, he carried those words into adulthood. Every time he looked at his empty wallet, he repeated the same inner cry, I am broke. I am limited. His world reflected his belief with brutal precision. One evening, restless and weary, he stumbled upon a recording of Neville. He heard the words, assume the feeling of wealth, claim it within, and the world must mirror it. Something inside him sparked. That night he sat in silence, closed his eyes, and imagined receiving an envelope with a check inside. He felt the weight of the paper, saw the bold numbers, heard the rustle as he opened it. He whispered, I am prosperous. I am abundant. At first it felt childish, foolish even, but he persisted. Weeks passed. Then one morning he opened his mailbox and found an envelope from an old employer. Inside was a settlement he had long forgotten, a payment he never expected. It was not fortune yet, but it was proof, and the proof gave him faith to persist even more. More money came, opportunities opened. Within a year, he no longer recognized his financial life. He said, I thought I was unlucky, but the truth was, I had been declaring poverty every day. The moment I changed my declaration, abundance answered. Now imagine yourself in Michael's place. Tonight whisper not I am broke, but I am prosperous, I am wealthy, I am free. See yourself opening an envelope, a statement, a message that confirms your abundance. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the relief. Sleep in that scene and let tomorrow carry its echo. There was also the story of Linda, who had been estranged from her daughter for over a decade. Harsh words, misunderstandings, pride, years of silence piled up like a wall. Every night, Linda wept and whispered, I am separated. I am unloved. The pain grew heavier with time, but then she discovered Neville's technique of revision. That night, she replayed her last memory with her daughter, not as it had happened, but as she wished it had. She saw her daughter smiling, heard her voice soft with affection. She whispered, I am reunited. I am loved. She did this night after night. At first it brought more tears, because the silence outside still screamed, but she persisted. Months later, her phone rang. It was her daughter. Slowly, painfully, but surely. They rebuilt what was lost. Linda said, "It was as though I spoke to her in the silence, and she heard." Now picture yourself in Linda's place. Whoever you have lost, whoever you long to reconcile with. Tonight whisper not, "I am alone," but "I am reunited. I am loved." Imagine their face filled with warmth, their voice calling your name. Sleep in that reunion, and let the unseen law open the path to it. There was a man named Joseph, chained for years by addiction. Alcohol was his comfort, his prison, his daily ritual. He whispered constantly, "I am weak. I am a failure." And so the bottle owned him. But one day he heard Neville declare, "Man moves in the direction of his assumption. Stop assuming weakness and assume strength." That night Joseph tried. He whispered, "I am free. I am strong." He imagined himself walking past the bar without temptation. He imagined his hands steady, his body clear. He persisted even when cravings screamed. Slowly the chains loosened. Within months he found himself free. He said, "I did not fight the bottle. I simply stopped declaring it as mine. I changed my I am, and the prison crumbled." Now imagine yourself in Joseph's place. Whatever chain binds you, an addiction, a habit, a fear, tonight whisper, "I am free, I am strong, I am whole." See yourself living the life you long for, free of the weight. Feel it, believe it, sleep in it, and the unseen will honor it. And finally there was Elizabeth, a woman who longed not for wealth or health or love, but for God. She whispered every night, "I am seeking, I am lost." Until one evening she read Neville's words, "God became man that man may become God." For the first time, she realized that what she sought was already within her. That night she whispered, "I am divine, I am imagination itself." She imagined herself radiant with light, one with the eternal. She said, "The world no longer frightened me, because I discovered that I am not a wave lost in the ocean. I am the ocean itself, dreaming waves." Now see yourself in Elizabeth's place. Perhaps you too long for more than things. Tonight whisper, "I am eternal. I am divine. I am imagination." Feel the peace that comes from knowing you can never be separated from God. Because God is the very awareness that says, "I am." Sleep in that awareness and awaken in its freedom. There was a man named Andrew, who carried the heavy cloak of constant failure. Every venture he touched seemed to crumble. Every opportunity slipped away like sand through his fingers. His inner whisper was always the same, "I am cursed. I am unlucky." And life, obedient to his declaration, mirrored his assumption with brutal accuracy. But then, late one evening, he read Neville's lecture, "Faith is Loyalty to Unseen Reality." A single line struck him like lightning. Stop believing in the evidence of the senses. Dare to assume success even when the world shouts failure. That night, Andrew decided to test it. He lay on his bed, closed his eyes, and whispered, "I am successful." He imagined himself shaking hands with a partner, sealing a deal, hearing the words, "Congratulations." He felt the thrill in his chest, as though it were real. At first his mind rebelled. The rent was late, the bills piled high. But Andrew persisted. Every night he returned to the scene, refusing to bow to appearances. Weeks passed. One day, through what seemed like chance, an old acquaintance called him with a new opportunity. He stepped into it with confidence he had never felt before. Months later, his life looked entirely different. He said, "I thought I was unlucky. But the truth was, I had been loyal to failure. The moment I switched my loyalty to success, the world reflected it." Now imagine yourself in Andrew's place. Perhaps you too have whispered, "I am unlucky." Tonight whisper a new word. "I am successful. I am favored. I am blessed." See yourself in the scene of victory. Hear the applause, feel the relief, taste the sweetness of achievement. Sleep in that scene and watch as the unseen bends to your assumption. There was a young woman named Caroline. She was gifted with intelligence and creativity, but paralyzed by self-doubt. Every time she considered stepping forward, her inner voice said, "I am not ready. I am not good enough." And so, her gifts remained hidden. One day, while listening to Neville's words, she heard him say, "You are already what you want to be. Refuse to see it as something to become. See it as something you already are." That night she tried. She whispered, "I am ready. I am capable. I am already successful." She imagined herself standing before a crowd, her voice strong, her ideas received with joy. She felt the exhilaration of accomplishment as though it were true. She persisted nightly. Soon, opportunities she had once feared began to open. She stepped forward with confidence, and the world received her. She said, "I thought I had to become confident. The truth was, I only had to assume I already was." Now imagine yourself in Caroline's place. Whatever dream lies within you, do not whisper, "I am not ready." Tonight, whisper, "I am ready. I am capable. I am already what I long to be." See yourself living the dream now. Feel the joy, the peace, the excitement. Sleep in that assumption, and the world will bow. There was also an elderly man named Henry. He had spent most of his life in bitterness, regretting missed chances, replaying failures, whispering every day, "I am too old. I am too late." He lived in despair until one day he read Neville's teaching on revision. That night, instead of rehearsing his regrets, he chose to rewrite them. He imagined himself making the choice he had once avoided. He imagined himself bold, courageous, victorious. He whispered, "I am never too late. I am renewed." At first he felt foolish. After all, the past was long gone. But Neville taught that the past is not stone, it is clay. Night after night, Henry reshaped the memories of his life, until the bitterness dissolved. Soon after, he began to live with energy and joy he had not known in decades. He met new friends, discovered new passions, and even began a project he had once abandoned. He said, "I thought life was over. But when I revised the past, the future opened wide." Now imagine yourself in Henry's place. Perhaps you too carry the whisper, "It's too late." Tonight, refuse it. Whisper instead, "I am renewed. I am alive. I am just beginning." See yourself stepping boldly into new adventures, smiling with the joy of freedom. Sleep in that assumption, and tomorrow will bring freshness instead of despair. There was the story of Rachel, a teacher who longed to inspire her students, but felt trapped in mediocrity. Every day she whispered, "I am unnoticed. I am ordinary." But deep within, she dreamed of changing lives. One evening, she tried Neville's method of living in the end. She closed her eyes and imagined her students applauding, thanking her, saying, "You changed my life." She whispered, "I am impactful. I am inspiring." She repeated this scene night after night. Within months, her teaching caught the attention of administrators. She was asked to lead workshops, then to write a book. Her students indeed began to tell her, "You changed my life." She said, "The world only reflected what I finally dared to claim." Now imagine yourself in Rachel's place. Perhaps you too long to leave a mark. Do not whisper, "I am ordinary." Tonight whisper, "I am impactful. I am inspiring. I am celebrated." Feel it as truth. Sleep in it, and let the world reflect it back. There was a man named Samuel who carried the wound of rejection in his heart. From childhood, he had been told he was unwanted, and those words became the echo of his inner speech. "I am unloved. I am unwanted. I am alone." And so the world faithfully mirrored his assumption. Every relationship ended in disappointment. Every friendship dissolved in distance. But one evening, while reading Neville's lecture, The Pruning Shears of Revision, he decided to test the law. He closed his eyes and whispered a new declaration. "I am loved. I am wanted. I am cherished." He imagined himself embraced by friends, receiving messages of affection, hearing the words, "I love you." At first it felt foreign, but he persisted. Weeks later, without effort, new relationships blossomed. Friends who had long been distant returned. He met a partner who cherished him deeply. He said, "All my life I was faithful to loneliness. The moment I dared to be faithful to love, love appeared." Now imagine yourself in Samuel's place. Perhaps you too have whispered, "I am unloved." Tonight, refuse that lie. Whisper instead, "I am loved. I am cherished. I am chosen." See yourself embraced, adored, celebrated. Sleep in that scene and watch as the world bends to your assumption. There was a young artist named Maya. She painted with passion, but her inner voice told her, "I am invisible. I am overlooked. No one sees my work." And so her canvases piled up in her room, unseen and unvalued. Then she encountered Neville's words, "Assume you already are what you want to be." That night she imagined her art hanging in galleries, people admiring it, buyers thanking her. She whispered, "I am seen, I am celebrated, I am valued." At first, the evidence contradicted her, but she persisted in the imaginal scene. Within months, an unexpected opportunity came. A local gallery invited her to display her work. Soon after, she sold her first painting. She said, "The world was blind to me because I was blind to myself. When I assumed I was seen, the world opened its eyes." Now imagine yourself in Maya's place. Perhaps you too feel invisible. Tonight whisper, "I am seen. I am celebrated. I am valuable." Picture the world applauding your gifts. Feel the joy of recognition. Sleep in that feeling, and the outer world will reveal it. There was also a story of Daniel, who lived with the heavy chain of debt. Every day, he looked at the bills and whispered, "I am broke. I am drowning. I am trapped." And life, faithful servant of assumption, showed him more lack, more bills, more struggle. One night, he remembered Neville's line, "Let the weak man say, I am strong." He thought, if the weak can say, "I am strong," then the poor can say, "I am wealthy." That night, Daniel closed his eyes and whispered, "I am wealthy. I am free. I am abundant." He imagined himself writing checks with ease, paying bills with joy, feeling the relief of freedom. He persisted nightly. Within weeks, unexpected sources of income appeared. Opportunities he had overlooked became visible. Debts dissolved one by one until freedom was his. He said, "I was never broke. I was only faithful to the story of being broke. When I became faithful to wealth, wealth arrived." Now imagine yourself in Daniel's place. Perhaps you too whisper, "I am broke." Tonight, refuse it. Whisper, "I am wealthy. I am free. I am abundant." Feel the relief, the joy, the security. Sleep in that state, and wealth must appear. There was the story of Sophia, a woman who battled illness for years. Every day, she whispered, "I am sick. I am weak. I am broken." Doctors gave her little hope. But one day, she heard Neville say, "Health is only a state, and states are chosen." That night, she whispered a new declaration, "I am healthy. I am strong. I am whole." She imagined herself walking with energy, running with joy, smiling in health. At first her body resisted, but she persisted in imagination. She felt the reality of health in the silence of night. Slowly, her body began to reflect it. Strength returned, pain dissolved, and she lived with vitality. She had thought lost forever. She said, "I did not heal myself by fighting sickness. I healed myself by assuming health." Now imagine yourself in Sophia's place. Perhaps you whisper, "I am sick." Tonight refuse it. Whisper, "I am healthy. I am strong. I am whole." Imagine the freedom of vitality, the joy of movement, the peace of strength. Sleep in that assumption, and your body will reflect it. There was also the story of Lucas, a man who longed for purpose but whispered daily, "I am lost. I am meaningless. I have no direction." And so the world mirrored his despair with endless routine and emptiness. Then he read Neville's teaching on imagination as God. He realized, if imagination is God, then I can imagine a new purpose, and it must appear. That night he whispered, "I am purposeful. I am guided. I am fulfilled. He imagined himself speaking before others, sharing wisdom, living with joy and meaning. He persisted until one day an opportunity arose for him to mentor others. Soon his life was filled with purpose. He said, I was never lost. I was only faithful to the story of being lost. When I assumed purpose, purpose assumed me. Now imagine yourself in Lucas's place. Perhaps you too whisper, I am lost. Tonight refuse it. Whisper, I am purposeful. I am guided. I am fulfilled. Imagine yourself waking with joy, living with meaning, ending each day with gratitude. Sleep in that state, and life will reveal your purpose. There was a woman named Miriam. She had carried the wound of loneliness for decades. Even when surrounded by people, she whispered in the silence, I am alone, I am forgotten. And the world, like a faithful mirror, reflected her solitude. Then one evening she read Neville's interpretation of Scripture, I will never leave you nor forsake you, for I am with you always. She realized that the I am within her was the eternal companion, and that her assumption of loneliness was the only veil. That night she whispered, I am loved, I am accompanied, I am never alone. She imagined laughter filling her home, warm embraces, companionship. She persisted nightly, even when her bed felt cold. Weeks later, friendships blossomed unexpectedly. Old acquaintances returned. New connections appeared. She said, I had spent years begging the world to see me. The moment I saw myself as loved, love could no longer stay away. Now imagine yourself in Miriam's place. If you too whisper, I am alone, tonight replace it with, I am loved, I am accompanied, I am cherished. Feel the warmth of presence, the laughter of companionship, the joy of belonging. Sleep in that truth, and watch as the world reflects it. Do you remember the story of the prodigal son? Neville often reminded us that this was not history, but eternal truth. The son left his father's house, squandered all, and whispered, I am unworthy. And the world fed him with husks. But the moment he turned within and declared, I will arise and go to my father, the feast was prepared. This is your story. Whenever you whisper, I am weak, I am poor, I am unloved, you are in the far country, feeding on husks. But the moment you dare to declare, I am wealthy, I am strong, I am loved, you return to the Father's house, where the robe, the ring, and the feast await you. There was also the story of David, who carried fear like a shadow. Every decision was haunted by, I am afraid, I am vulnerable. Then one night, he read Neville's interpretation of Moses at the burning bush. When Moses asked for God's name, the answer came, I am that I am. Neville explained that this was not a distant deity, but the very awareness saying, I am in each of us. David realized that if fear came after, I am, it became his God. But if he dared to replace it, fear would dissolve. That night he whispered, I am fearless, I am protected, I am safe. He imagined himself walking boldly, standing tall, living free. Within weeks, his life changed. He took risks he had once avoided, and they led to victories. He said, fear was my idol. The moment I replaced it with faith, courage became my world. Now see yourself in David's place. Whatever fear grips you, tonight whisper, I am fearless, I am safe, I am protected. See yourself walking boldly, smiling with courage, living free. Sleep in that state, and fear will bow to your assumption. Do you remember the story of Israel's exodus from Egypt? Neville said, Egypt is the state of bondage where you whisper, I am trapped, I am a slave. But the Red Sea parts when you dare to declare freedom. The journey to the promised land is not across geography, but across states of consciousness. The moment you say, I am free, you leave Egypt. The desert is the period of persistence, when appearances seem dry and barren. But if you persist, the promised land must appear. There was a man named Thomas who lived in debt for decades. Egypt was his daily prison. He whispered constantly, I am trapped. I am enslaved by bills. One night, after hearing Neville speak, he dared to whisper, I am free. I am prosperous. I am in my promised land. He imagined himself holding a letter, stamped, paid in full. He persisted, even when collectors called. And one day, through a series of events, his debts dissolved. He said, Egypt was only a state. When I left it in imagination, the Red Sea parted in reality. Now imagine yourself in Thomas's place. Whatever Egypt you live in, poverty, sickness, loneliness, tonight whisper, I am free. I am delivered. I am in my promised land. Feel the joy of victory, the relief of freedom. Sleep in that vision, and the land will rise to meet you. There was also the story of Leah, a woman who suffered endless disappointments in love. Each relationship ended in betrayal. She whispered constantly, I am unwanted. I am destined to be alone. But then she discovered Neville's teaching of living in the end. That night she closed her eyes and whispered, I am happily married. I am cherished. I am adored. She imagined herself wearing a ring, feeling the warmth of a loving embrace. She persisted nightly. Months later, she met the man who would become her husband. She said, he did not rescue me. I rescued myself the moment I assumed love. Now see yourself in Leah's place. Whatever your heart longs for, whisper it tonight as though it were already true. I am loved. I am cherished. I am adored. Feel the warmth of fulfillment. Sleep in that assumption, and love will find its way to you. Do you remember the story of Lazarus? Neville explained it was not about a man in a tomb long ago, but about us. Every time you whisper, I am poor, I am sick, I am defeated, you bury yourself in the tomb of a false assumption. But the Christ within, the creative power of imagination, stands outside and calls, come forth. The moment you dare to rise, the grave clothes fall away. There was a man named Stephen who whispered daily, I am broken. I am finished. His business had failed. His marriage had ended. He felt buried in despair. Then one night he read Neville's words on Lazarus. He whispered, I am risen. I am renewed. I am victorious. He imagined himself standing in the light, leaving the grave behind. Slowly his life rebuilt. Opportunities came. Relationships healed. Joy returned. He said, I thought I was dead to life, but I only needed to rise from my tomb. Now imagine yourself in Stephen's place. Whatever tomb you lie in, failure, heartbreak, despair, tonight whisper, I am risen, I am renewed, I am victorious. See yourself walking out of the darkness, wrapped in light. Sleep in that truth, and the stone will be rolled away. Do you remember the opening lines of Genesis? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Neville often said this was not history, but psychology. The earth without form is your unshaped imagination. The darkness is your confusion and doubt. But then comes the command, let there be light. Light is awareness. The moment you dare to say, I am, you bring form to the formless. When you whisper, I am wealthy, I am loved, I am healed, you are saying, let there be light, and the darkness must give way. There was a woman named Esther who lived in constant despair. She whispered daily, I am lost, I am in darkness. Then she discovered Neville's interpretation of Genesis. That night she whispered, I am light, I am guided, I am free. She imagined herself walking in a bright path, clarity surrounding her. Within weeks, confusion lifted. She found direction, opportunities, and joy. She said, I thought my life was chaos, but truly it was only darkness waiting for me to say, let there be light. Now imagine yourself in Esther's place. Whatever confusion you face, tonight whisper, I am light. I am guided. I am clear. See the path before you glowing with clarity. Sleep in that vision, and the darkness will dissolve. Do you recall the story of Jesus calming the storm? The disciples cried in fear, we are perishing. But Jesus, representing imagination, rose and declared, peace, be still. Neville explained that the storm is not the sea outside, but the turmoil within, the waves of fear, the winds of doubt. The Christ within you is the power to declare peace. There was a man named Jonathan who lived in constant anxiety. Every day he whispered, "I am afraid, I am restless." His life was a storm. Then he read Neville's teaching, "You are the master of the storm. Declare peace within, and the outer waves must obey." That night he whispered, "I am calm, I am safe, I am at peace." He imagined still waters, gentle winds within weeks. His anxiety dissolved. He said, "The storm did not end outside. It ended when I calmed it inside." Now imagine yourself in Jonathan's place. Whatever storm rages in your life, fear, worry, chaos, tonight whisper, "I am calm, I am safe, I am at peace." Feel the waves subside, the winds quiet, sleep in that peace, and watch the storm obey your inner word. There was also the story of the feeding of the 5,000. Neville explained this was not about bread and fish, but about consciousness. The disciples said, "We have only 5 loaves and 2 fish." They confessed lack, but Jesus, representing imagination, gave thanks and multiplied. Neville said, "When you give thanks for what you have in imagination, it multiplies in the world." There was a woman named Claire who constantly whispered, "I don't have enough, I am lacking." Bills overwhelmed her, needs outweighed her resources. But one evening, she tried Neville's teaching of thanksgiving. She closed her eyes, held a single dollar in her hand, and whispered, "Thank you, I am abundant. Thank you, I am provided for." She imagined the joy of plenty. She persisted nightly. Soon, opportunities multiplied, resources grew, and her life overflowed. She said, "The moment I gave thanks for little, the little became much." Now imagine yourself in Claire's place. Whatever you hold in your hand, be it small, fragile, incomplete, whisper thanks. Say, "I am abundant, I am provided for." Feel gratitude swell in your chest. Sleep in that feeling, and the loaves and fishes of your life will multiply. Do you recall the story of the blind man healed? Neville said blindness represents our refusal to see beyond appearances. When we say, "I am poor, I am sick, I am unloved," we are blind to the truth. Healing comes when we dare to see with imagination. There was a man named Paul who whispered daily, "I am blind to opportunity, I am unlucky." He saw only walls, never doors. Then he tried Neville's exercise. That night he whispered, "I am favored, I am guided, I see opportunities everywhere." He imagined doors opening, paths clearing. Within weeks, new ventures appeared. He said, "I was never blind, I was simply looking with the wrong eyes." Now imagine yourself in Paul's place. Whatever you cannot see tonight, declare vision. Whisper, "I am guided. I see opportunities, I see blessings." Imagine doors opening before you. Sleep in that vision, and the eyes of imagination will guide your steps. Do you remember the story of the widow and the oil? In the book of Kings, a widow feared her sons would be taken away because she was in debt. The prophet asked her, "What do you have in your house?" She replied, "Only a small jar of oil." And the prophet said, "Borrow vessels, not a few." The oil flowed until every vessel was filled. Neville explained, "The oil is imagination. When you believe you have only a little faith, a little strength, a little chance, you limit the flow. But when you dare to borrow vessels, to expand your capacity by assuming abundance, imagination fills them all." There was a woman named Hannah who whispered daily, "I only have a little, I am limited, I am barely surviving." Then she read Neville's interpretation of this story. That night she whispered, "I am abundant, I am overflowing." She imagined her resources multiplying, her home filled with plenty. Weeks later, opportunities multiplied. Work increased, gifts appeared, her income grew. She said, "I thought I had only a little oil, but truly I had an endless supply within me." Now imagine yourself in Hannah's place. Whatever little you think you have, tonight whisper, "I am abundant. I am overflowing. I am provided for." See the vessels of your life filled to the brim. Sleep in that vision, and the oil will flow. Do you recall the parable of the vine and the branches? Jesus said, "I am the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Neville explained, the vine is the I am. The branches are the qualities you attach to it. If you attach, I am poor, the branch withers. If you attach, I am abundant, the branch bears fruit. The life is not in the branch. It is in the vine, the eternal I am. There was a man named Christopher who whispered, I am disconnected, I am powerless, and his life was barren. Then he discovered Neville's interpretation of the vine. That night he whispered, I am connected, I am strong, I am fruitful. He imagined branches heavy with grapes, ripe with sweetness. Soon his life blossomed, relationships, work, joy. He said, I was never cut off, I had simply declared it. The vine was always within me. Now imagine yourself in Christopher's place. Tonight whisper, I am connected, I am fruitful, I am alive. Picture branches heavy with abundance, your life bearing fruit. Sleep in that truth, and tomorrow will bring harvest. Do you remember the story of Jairus' daughter? She was declared dead, and mourners wept. But Jesus said, the child is not dead, but sleeping. Neville explained, death is only a state. Whatever in your life seems finished, dreams, love, purpose, is not dead but sleeping, waiting to be awakened by your assumption. There was a woman named Naomi, whose dream of becoming a writer seemed buried. Years had passed, rejection after rejection, until she whispered, I am finished, I am too late. Then she read Neville's words, that which you call dead is only sleeping. That night she whispered, I am alive, I am fulfilled, I am a writer. She imagined holding her published book. Within a year, her manuscript was accepted. She said, my dream had not died. It was only sleeping, waiting for me to awaken it. Now imagine yourself in Naomi's place. Whatever dream you call dead, tonight whisper, I am alive, I am fulfilled, I am renewed. See yourself living the dream, holding the fruit of it. Sleep in that vision, and the sleeping child will awaken. Do you recall the story of the walls of Jericho? Israel circled the walls, and at the seventh time the walls fell. Neville explained, the walls are resistance, the evidence of the senses, the doubts of the mind. Persistence is circling the walls in imagination. If you dare to persist, no matter how thick the walls, they must fall. There was a man named Victor who longed for a new career, but every attempt failed. The walls of rejection rose before him. He whispered, I am stuck, I am shut out. Then he read Neville's teaching on Jericho. That night he whispered, I am victorious, I am employed, I am celebrated. He imagined himself in his new office, shaking hands, smiling with success. He persisted, circling the walls nightly. Weeks later, a door opened in a place he had never considered. He said, the walls were only resistance. The moment I persisted, they fell. Now imagine yourself in Victor's place. Whatever walls stand before you, lack, fear, delay, tonight circle them with persistence. Whisper, I am victorious, I am free, I am fulfilled. Sleep in that vision, and the walls must fall. Do you remember the wedding at Cana? The wine had run out, and Jesus was asked to intervene. He told them to fill the jars with water, and when they drew from them, the water had become wine. Neville explained that water is the unconditioned state, the raw I am. Wine is water conditioned. I am followed by wealth, health, love, joy. When you dare to condition your I am with the assumption of fulfillment, the water of imagination becomes the wine of reality. There was a woman named Julia who whispered daily, I am exhausted, I am empty. Life had lost its flavor. Her joy had dried up like wine gone stale. But then she read Neville's teaching on Cana. That night she whispered, I am joyful, I am renewed, I am alive. She imagined herself laughing with friends, her home filled with music and warmth. Slowly her life changed. She said, I thought my wine had run out, but truly, the water of imagination was waiting for me to declare it wine. Now imagine yourself in Julia's place. If you feel empty, exhausted, drained, whisper tonight, I am joyful, I am renewed. I am alive. See the water of your life turning to wine. Sleep in that vision and let the celebration return. Do you recall the parable of the Good Samaritan? A man lay wounded on the road, ignored by those who passed. But a Samaritan, considered an outsider, stopped and healed him. Neville explained, the wounded man is your state of despair. The Samaritan is imagination itself, which does not condemn but heals. When the world ignores you, imagination lifts you. There was a man named Elias who whispered daily, I am broken. No one helps me. I am forgotten. His world reflected his cry, neglect, abandonment, rejection. Then he heard Neville say, your imagination is your Samaritan. It will bind your wounds if you let it. That night he whispered, I am healed. I am whole. I am helped. He imagined himself strong, standing tall, moving freely. Slowly, strength returned. New friends appeared to help him. He said, I thought no one cared, but imagination cared for me when no one else would. Now imagine yourself in Elias's place. Whatever wounds you carry, tonight whisper, I am healed. I am whole. I am helped. Feel the Samaritan within, bind your wounds with the oil of imagination. Sleep in that vision, and healing will come. Do you remember the parable of the sower? Some seed fell on stony ground, some among thorns, and some on fertile soil. Neville explained, the seed is the word you attach to I am. The soil is your persistence. If you plant the seed once and abandon it, it withers. If you plant it nightly, water it with feeling, persist, it bears fruit 30, 60, 100-fold. There was a young woman named Sarah who longed for love. She whispered daily, I am alone. But one night she dared to whisper, I am loved. I am cherished. I am adored. At first, it was like seed on stony ground, for her doubt was strong, but she persisted. Every night she watered the seed with feeling. Months later, love entered her life in a way she had never expected. She said, the seed bore fruit, because I did not abandon it. Now imagine yourself in Sarah's place. Whatever seed you plant tonight, wealth, health, love, freedom, do not whisper it once and doubt. Persist. Whisper nightly, I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am loved. I am free. Sleep in that vision, and your harvest will come. Do you recall the story of the mustard seed? Jesus said, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, nothing shall be impossible unto you. Neville explained, the mustard seed is not size, but persistence. A single assumption, small as it seems, if persisted in, can move mountains. There was a man named Marcus who longed for healing, but whispered, it is impossible. I am beyond hope. Then he remembered the mustard seed. That night he whispered, I am whole. I am healed. He felt the tiniest spark of faith, and he clung to it. He repeated it nightly. Over time, the spark became a flame. His health improved. His strength returned. He said, it was not great faith. It was a small seed, watered with persistence, that moved the mountain. Now imagine yourself in Marcus's place. Whatever mountain stands before you, tonight whisper, I am free. I am healed. I am abundant. Even if your faith feels small, plant it. Water it nightly. Persist. The mountain will move. Do you remember the story of the miraculous catch of fish? Peter and his companions had labored all night and caught nothing. Then Jesus told them, cast the net on the right side of the boat. They obeyed, and the nets overflowed. Neville explained that the right side is not geography, but consciousness. To cast the net on the right side is to shift your assumption. Laboring in doubt yields nothing. But the moment you assume abundance, the net breaks with blessings. There was a man named Daniel who worked tirelessly in his business, yet reaped little. He whispered constantly, I am struggling. I am unlucky. Then he discovered Neville's teaching on the miraculous catch. That night, he whispered, I am successful. I am favored. I am abundant. He imagined contracts piling on his desk, customers praising his work, his phone ringing with opportunities. Within weeks, doors opened, that had long been shut. He said, "The fish were always in the sea. I simply had to cast on the right side." Now imagine yourself in Daniel's place. Whatever nets you cast in vain, tonight whisper, "I am successful. I am abundant. I am favored." See your nets breaking with blessings. Sleep in that vision, and abundance must rush toward you. Do you recall the story of the barren fig tree? Jesus approached it, seeking fruit, but finding none. He declared, "Let no one eat fruit from you again." Neville explained, the fig tree represents states that no longer serve you. Poverty, sickness, despair. The moment you refuse to give them your faith, they wither. There was a woman named Lydia who whispered daily, "I am sick, I am tired, I am weak." Her life bore no fruit but sorrow. Then she read Neville's words, "Stop feeding the barren tree. Refuse to give life to states that do not serve you." That night she whispered, "I am healthy, I am strong, I am renewed." She refused to repeat the old confession. Slowly her health blossomed. Her strength returned. She said, "The barren tree withered the moment I stopped watering it." Now imagine yourself in Lydia's place. Whatever tree in your life bears only bitterness, tonight refuse it. Whisper, "I am strong, I am whole, I am fruitful." See new branches heavy with abundance. Sleep in that vision, and the barren tree will wither. Do you remember the parable of the pearl of great price? A merchant sold all he had to obtain one pearl of great value. Neville explained that the pearl is your assumption. To hold to it, you must sell all. Release every doubt, every contradictory belief. The pearl is costly because it requires loyalty, but once you claim it, it is priceless. There was a man named Anthony who longed for success but clung to the whispers, "I am poor, I am weak, I am unlucky." He never sold those beliefs. One night, he read Neville's teaching on the pearl. That night, he whispered, "I am successful, I am prosperous, I am free." He released every other claim. He clung only to his new assumption. Within months, success came. He said, "The pearl was costly, for I had to abandon my excuses. But it was worth everything." Now imagine yourself in Anthony's place. Tonight whisper, "I am wealthy, I am free, I am fulfilled." Sell every other belief. Abandon every contradictory whisper. Hold only the pearl, and the world will bend to it. Do you recall the parable of the hidden treasure? A man found treasure in a field, and for joy he sold all to buy the field. Neville explained, the field is your consciousness. The treasure is your desire fulfilled. It is hidden beneath appearances, but once discovered, you can own it if you dare to assume it. There was a young woman named Isabel who felt her life meaningless. She whispered, "I am empty, I am lost." Then she read Neville's words, "Your desire is the treasure hidden in the field of consciousness." That night she whispered, "I am purposeful, I am guided, I am fulfilled." She imagined herself teaching, inspiring, helping others. Within a year, she had found her calling as a counselor. She said, "The treasure was always in me. I only needed to claim the field." Now imagine yourself in Isabel's place. Whatever treasure you long for, love, health, abundance, purpose, it is hidden within the field of your consciousness. Tonight whisper, "I am fulfilled. I am abundant. I am free." See yourself holding the treasure. Sleep in that vision, and the field will yield its riches. Do you remember the parable of the talents? A master gave his servants talents of gold. 2 invested and multiplied them. 1 buried his in the ground, whispering, "I am afraid." The master praised those who dared and condemned the one who hid his gift. Neville explained, the talents are states of consciousness. If you dare to invest, if you dare to assume greatness, your state multiplies. But if you bury your gift in fear, it remains hidden. There was a man named Philip who longed to start a business. He whispered daily, "I am too small, I am too late, I am afraid." And so his talent lay buried. Then he read Neville's interpretation of this parable. That night he whispered, "I am capable, I am successful, I am bold." He imagined himself shaking hands with clients, feeling pride in his achievements. Slowly, opportunities arose. He dared to act, and his life multiplied. He said, "The moment I invested my assumption, the world paid its interest." Now imagine yourself in Philip's place. Whatever talent you bury in fear, tonight unearth it. Whisper, "I am bold. I am successful. I am prosperous." See your gift multiplying. Sleep in that vision, and the talents will grow. Do you recall the parable of the lost sheep? A shepherd left the 99 to find the one. Neville explained, the shepherd is imagination. The lost sheep is your forgotten desire. You may neglect it, but imagination will not rest until it is found. The moment you recall it, it comes home. There was a woman named Ruth, who as a child dreamed of being a singer, but life led her elsewhere. For decades she whispered, "I am too old. My dream is lost." Then she read Neville's words. What is lost in imagination can always be found. That night she whispered, "I am fulfilled. I am singing. I am celebrated." She imagined applause, joy, her voice soaring. Within months, she was invited to join a community choir. Later, she recorded songs with friends. She said, "My dream was not dead. It was only a lost sheep, waiting for me to call it home." Now imagine yourself in Ruth's place. Whatever desire you abandoned, tonight whisper, "I am fulfilled. I am whole. I am living my dream." See the lost sheep returning. Sleep in that vision, and your forgotten desire will come home. Do you remember the parable of the Good Shepherd? He said, "My sheep hear my voice, and they follow me." Neville explained, the sheep are your states. If you call yourself poor, the flock of poverty follows you. If you call yourself wealthy, abundance follows. You are the shepherd of your world. There was a man named Edward who whispered, "I am cursed. I am unlucky." And his flock was misfortune. Then one night he read Neville's words, "Call a new flock with a new assumption." That night he whispered, "I am blessed. I am fortunate. I am favored." He imagined his life filled with ease and opportunity. Slowly, the flock changed. His days became easier. Luck seemed to follow him. He said, "The sheep only followed the voice I gave them." Now imagine yourself in Edward's place. Whatever flock you call nightly, tonight choose anew. Whisper, "I am blessed. I am favored. I am fortunate." See abundance, love, and joy following you. Sleep in that vision, and your new flock will answer. Do you recall the parable of the two houses? One was built on sand, the other on rock. When the storm came, the house on sand fell, but the house on rock stood firm. Neville explained the sand is doubt, fear, and contradiction. The rock is persistence in your assumption. If you build your world on doubt, it collapses. If you build it on faith, no storm can move it. There was a woman named Helen who whispered, "I am unlucky. I am weak." She built her life on sand. Every storm shattered her world. Then she read Neville's interpretation. That night she whispered, "I am strong. I am stable. I am secure." She imagined herself in a sturdy home, unshaken by winds. Slowly her life gained stability. Finances grew, relationships healed, peace reigned. She said, "The storm did not cease. I simply built my house on the rock of persistence." Now imagine yourself in Helen's place. Tonight, whatever storm surrounds you, whisper, "I am strong. I am safe. I am unshaken." Feel your house firm, immovable. Sleep in that vision, and no storm can destroy you. Do you remember the parable of the prodigal son? A young man left his father's house, wasted his inheritance, and returned in shame. Yet the father did not condemn him. He ran to him, embraced him, and declared, "This son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." Neville explained, the father is your higher self, your imagination. The son is your wandering concept of self. No matter how far you have strayed into poverty, weakness, or despair, the moment you turn within and declare, "I am," the Father embraces you. There was a man named Daniel who once lived with hope, but over time he whispered, "I am nothing. I am forgotten." He wandered into the far country of despair. Then he read Neville's words. The moment you dare to assume again, the Father runs to meet you. That night he whispered, I am loved. I am strong. I am home. He imagined his life restored. Within weeks, opportunities arose. He found peace and purpose. He said, the moment I turned inward, the Father embraced me. Now imagine yourself in Daniel's place. Whatever country of despair you've wandered into, tonight whisper, I am home. I am loved. I am restored. Feel the Father's embrace. Sleep in that vision, and your inheritance will return. Do you recall the parable of the pearl of great price? A merchant found a pearl of such value that he sold all he had to possess it. Neville explained, that pearl is the assumption, I am. When you dare to believe that God is your own awareness, you have found the pearl of great price. You must sell all other beliefs, all doubts, fears, and lies, to hold this one truth. There was a woman named Sarah who chased rituals, gurus, books, and methods. She collected beliefs like trinkets, yet she remained restless. Then she discovered Neville's teaching. The pearl is your own I am. That night she whispered, I am enough. I am God in action. She sold all other beliefs and clung to that one pearl. Peace came, followed by transformation. She said, the pearl cost me my doubts, and it gave me everything. Now imagine yourself in Sarah's place. Tonight, sell every doubt, every fear, every belief in separation. Whisper, I am. Hold the pearl of great price. Sleep in that vision, and your life will shine with its luster. Do you remember the parable of the mustard seed? Though it is the smallest of seeds, it grows into the largest of trees. Neville explained, the mustard seed is a tiny assumption held with faith. Even the smallest I am planted with conviction can grow into a mighty reality. There was a man named Jonathan who whispered, I am weak. I am hopeless. He thought his little affirmations were too small. Then he read Neville's words, if you hold the seed with faith, it must grow. That night he whispered, I am strong. Just 2 words, just one seed. He repeated it until he felt it. Slowly his strength grew. He gained confidence, opportunities, health. He said, that little seed became the tree of my life. Now imagine yourself in Jonathan's place. Whatever little seed you plant tonight, let it grow. Whisper, I am strong. I am prosperous. I am free. Feel the seed rooting in the soil of your subconscious. Sleep in that vision, and the tree will rise. Do you recall the parable of the hidden treasure? A man found treasure in a field, and in joy he sold all he had to buy that field. Neville explained, the treasure is your awareness of being. Once you discover it, you gladly let go of every lesser identity to possess the field of your own imagination. There was a woman named Leah who longed for joy, but held on to old wounds. Then she read Neville's teaching, the treasure is your own awareness. That night she whispered, I am whole. I am abundant. She buried her past and bought the field of imagination. Slowly her life sparkled with treasure. She said, the moment I claimed the field, the treasure was mine. Now imagine yourself in Leah's place. Tonight in joy, let go of every lesser identity. Whisper, I am whole, I am abundant, I am free. Feel yourself walking in the field of imagination, uncovering treasure after treasure. Sleep in that vision, and your field will overflow. Do you remember the parable of the sower? Some seeds fell on the path, and birds ate them. Some fell on rocky ground and withered. Some fell among thorns and were choked. But some fell on good soil and bore fruit 100-fold. Neville explained, the seed is every assumption, every I am. The soil is the state in which you plant it. If you plant in fear, doubt, or distraction, the seed dies. If you plant in faith, persistence, and feeling, the seed bears fruit. There was a man named Michael who whispered affirmations but felt nothing. His seeds fell on rocky ground. Then he read Neville's words. Fertile soil is feeling. That night he whispered, I am prosperous, and felt it real. He persisted daily, watering the seed with feeling. Soon his life bore fruit. He said, "The seed never failed. The soil was my feeling." Now imagine yourself in Michael's place. Tonight plant your seed in good soil. Whisper, "I am prosperous. I am loved. I am free." Feel it real. Water it with persistence. Sleep in that vision, and your seed will bear fruit 100-fold. Do you remember when Jesus said, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman"? Neville explained that the vine is your own. I am the life flowing through every state you dare to assume. The branches are your concepts of self. If you say, "I am weak," you attach weakness to the vine, and it lives. If you say, "I am strong," that strength becomes alive in you. The vine does not choose, it only gives life to whatever branch you graft into it. There was a man named Elias who whispered every day, "I am tired, I am unlucky." His branches bore only bitterness. Then one night he read Neville's interpretation. That evening he whispered, "I am vibrant, I am blessed, I am favored." He imagined his life bearing sweet fruit, joy, health, abundance. Within months, he said, "My branches changed, but the vine was always the same. The life within me was waiting for my word." Now imagine yourself in Elias's place. Whatever fruit you see in your life today, remember, the vine only gives life to the branches you choose. Tonight whisper, "I am vibrant. I am abundant. I am loved." Feel the fruit heavy on the branches of your being. Sleep in that vision, and tomorrow you will taste it. Do you recall the parable of the narrow gate? Jesus said, "Enter by the narrow gate. For wide is the gate that leads to destruction, and many go in by it. Narrow is the gate which leads to life, and few find it." Neville explained the wide gate is the easy path of accepting appearances, saying, "I am sick, I am poor, I am unloved." The narrow gate is discipline, the choice to declare, "I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am loved," even when the senses scream the opposite. Few enter because it demands persistence, but those who do find life. There was a woman named Clara who longed for healing. Yet she whispered daily, "I am in pain. I am broken." She entered the wide gate, and her suffering continued. One night she read Neville's words, "The narrow gate is your disciplined assumption." That night she whispered, "I am whole. I am free." She felt the truth of it in her imagination. She persisted nightly, walking the narrow gate. Slowly, health blossomed in her body. She said, "The wide gate was easy, but the narrow gate gave me life." Now imagine yourself in Clara's place. Whatever pain or despair surrounds you, refuse the wide gate. Tonight whisper, "I am free. I am whole. I am alive." Enter the narrow gate of disciplined imagination. Sleep in that vision, and life will open before you. Do you remember the parable of the workers in the vineyard? Some labored from dawn, others arrived at the last hour, but all received the same reward. Neville explained, this is not about wages, but about states. No matter how late you come to the realization of your own divinity, the moment you assume "I am," you receive the full inheritance. There was a man named Robert who discovered Neville at the age of 65. He whispered, "I am too old. My time is gone." But then he read Neville's words, "No matter when you enter the vineyard, you receive the same reward." That night he whispered, "I am renewed. I am purposeful. I am alive." Within a year, he began painting, fulfilling a childhood dream. He said, "I thought my time was lost, but the vineyard gave me my reward." Now imagine yourself in Robert's place. No matter your age, no matter when you awaken, the vineyard is open. Tonight whisper, "I am renewed. I am purposeful. I am alive." Sleep in that truth, and the reward will be yours. Do you recall the story of the woman with the issue of blood? For 12 years she suffered, and no physician could heal her. Yet she said within herself, "If I but touch the hem of his garment, I will be healed." Neville explained, her faith was the garment. The moment she assumed healing, the flow of life returned. There was a woman named Miriam who lived with chronic illness. She whispered constantly, I am sick, I am weak. One night she read Neville's interpretation. That evening she whispered, I am whole, I am strong. She imagined herself touching the hem of imagination itself. Slowly her body changed. She said, I reached within, and healing answered me. Now imagine yourself in Miriam's place. Whatever condition you face, whisper tonight, I am whole, I am strong, I am healed. Feel yourself touching the garment of imagination. Sleep in that truth, and the flow of life will return. Do you remember the parable of the wise and foolish virgins? The wise carried oil for their lamps, and when the bridegroom came, their lamps were lit. The foolish had no oil and were shut out. Neville explained, the oil is awareness, imagination filled with faith. If you fill your lamp with assumptions of wealth, health, and love, when the moment comes, your lamp is ready. But if you neglect imagination, the door closes. There was a man named Samuel who longed for love, but whispered daily, I am unworthy, I am alone. His lamp was empty. Then he read Neville's words. The oil is your assumption. That night he whispered, I am loved, I am worthy. He imagined his heart glowing with light. Weeks later, he met the woman who would become his wife. He said, my lamp had oil, and the bridegroom came. Now imagine yourself in Samuel's place. Whatever you desire, tonight fill your lamp with oil. Whisper, I am loved, I am abundant, I am whole. See your lamp glowing with faith. Sleep in that vision, and the door will open for you. Do you remember the story of the centurion and his servant? The centurion said to Jesus, speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. Neville explained, this is the law of assumption in its purest form. The centurion knew that the spoken word, the assumed truth, was enough to command reality. Faith is not begging, it is declaring. There was a man named Victor who worried constantly about his daughter's health. He whispered daily, I am helpless, I am afraid. Then he read Neville's interpretation. Speak the word only. That night he whispered, she is healed, she is whole. He imagined her laughing, vibrant, strong. Within weeks, her condition improved dramatically. He said, I did not need to see proof, I only needed to speak the word. Now imagine yourself in Victor's place. Whatever situation burdens your heart tonight, whisper the word only. Say with faith, it is done, it is healed, it is fulfilled. Sleep in that vision, and the word will become flesh. Do you recall the story of the man at the pool of Bethesda? For 38 years he lay waiting for someone to put him into the water when it was stirred. Jesus said to him, do you want to be made whole? Rise, take up your bed, and walk. Neville explained, the pool is the outer world, where we wait for conditions, people, or miracles outside ourselves. But healing comes not by waiting, but by assuming wholeness now. There was a woman named Laura who whispered daily, I am waiting. Someday things will change. Her life was a pool of delay. Then she read Neville's words, stop waiting, rise in imagination. That night she whispered, I am free, I am fulfilled. She imagined herself already living her dream. Within months, her circumstances shifted. She said, I rose in imagination, and the world followed. Now imagine yourself in Laura's place. Whatever you are waiting for, stop tonight. Whisper, I am free, I am whole, I am fulfilled. See yourself rising now, sleep in that vision, and the outer world will echo it. Do you remember the multiplication of the loaves and fishes? The disciples said, we have only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Yet when Jesus gave thanks, the little became much, and all were fed. Neville explained, lack is multiplied when you confess it, but abundance flows when you give thanks for what you already hold in imagination. Gratitude is the key that multiplies. There was a man named Adrian who lived paycheck to paycheck. He whispered constantly, I don't have enough, I am lacking. His 5 loaves seemed too little. Then he read Neville's teaching, give thanks, and it multiplies. That night, he held a single coin in his hand and whispered, thank you, I am abundant. He imagined it as a symbol of overflowing wealth. Soon opportunities multiplied. He said, "My coin became the seed of my abundance." Now imagine yourself in Adrian's place. Whatever little you hold tonight, whisper thanks. Say, "I am abundant. I am provided for." Feel your loaves and fishes multiply in imagination. Sleep in that gratitude, and the harvest will overflow. Do you recall when Jesus said, "If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven. If you retain them, they are retained"? Neville explained, forgiveness is revision. To forgive is not to excuse, it is to revise the past in imagination until it reflects your desire. When you revise, you release both yourself and others. There was a woman named Elena who carried bitterness against her father for decades. She whispered daily, "I am wounded, I am angry." Then she discovered Neville's technique of revision. That night she replayed a painful memory. But this time she imagined her father embracing her, saying, "I love you, I am proud of you." She whispered, "It is done, it is forgiven." Over time, the bitterness dissolved. Peace filled her heart. She said, "I forgave not by forgetting, but by revising." Now imagine yourself in Elena's place. Whatever memory haunts you, tonight revise it. Whisper, "It is forgiven, it is healed, it is done." See the past reshaped into love. Sleep in that vision, and tomorrow will carry its peace. Do you remember the story of Lazarus? He lay in the tomb, bound in grave clothes. Jesus cried, "Lazarus, come forth," and he came out alive. Neville explained, Lazarus represents any dead state, poverty, despair, loneliness. The moment you call yourself into a new state, the stone rolls away. There was a man named Henry who declared for years, "I am finished. My life is over." He lived in the tomb of despair. Then he read Neville's words, "Every dead state can be resurrected by assumption." That night he whispered, "I am alive. I am renewed." He imagined himself vibrant, laughing, free. Slowly, his life shifted. Opportunities came. Joy returned. He said, "I rose from my tomb the moment I declared it." Now imagine yourself in Henry's place. Whatever tomb you lie in, tonight whisper, "I am alive. I am renewed. I am victorious." See the stone rolled away. Sleep in that truth, and your Lazarus will rise. Do you remember the story of Jesus walking on the water? The disciples saw him approaching in the storm, and fear gripped them. But he said, "Do not be afraid. It is I." Neville explained, the waters are the unstable emotions of life, the chaos of appearances. To walk upon them is to master them, to rise above fear by resting in the I am. There was a man named Stephen who lived constantly tossed by anxiety. He whispered daily, "I am drowning. I am overwhelmed." His life reflected the storm. Then he read Neville's words, "You can walk upon the waters of your fear by assuming calm." That night he whispered, "I am safe. I am steady. I am at peace." He imagined himself walking on still waters, unshaken by waves. Slowly his fear dissolved. He said, "The storm did not stop. I learned to walk above it." Now imagine yourself in Stephen's place. Whatever storm surrounds you, whisper tonight, "I am safe. I am steady. I am at peace." See yourself walking above the waters of fear. Sleep in that truth, and tomorrow you will find the waves beneath your feet. Do you recall the parable of the unjust steward? A servant, facing dismissal, rewrote the debts of his master's debtors to secure his own future. Neville explained, this story is not about dishonesty, but revision. The steward rewrote records to create a new outcome. Likewise, you may revise the record of your past and shape your tomorrow. There was a woman named Isabel who carried shame for mistakes in her youth. She whispered daily, "I am guilty. I am unworthy." Her life reflected her condemnation. Then she read Neville's interpretation. The past exists only in imagination. Revise it and you redeem it. That night she closed her eyes, replayed her memory, and imagined a different ending. She whispered, "I am forgiven. I am free." Slowly her life transformed. She said, I rewrote the record, and the world forgave me. Now imagine yourself in Isabel's place. Whatever memory accuses you, tonight revise it. Whisper, I am forgiven. I am free. I am redeemed. Sleep in that vision, and tomorrow the world will echo your new record. Do you remember the story of the woman caught in adultery? She was dragged before Jesus, condemned by all. Yet he said, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Neville explained, the accusers are your thoughts of guilt. The Christ within does not condemn, but invites you to assume innocence. There was a man named David who whispered daily, I am a failure. I am ashamed. His inner accusers hurled stones. Then he read Neville's words. Your imagination says, neither do I condemn you. That night he whispered, I am innocent. I am worthy. I am whole. He imagined himself embraced, celebrated, forgiven. Slowly, his shame dissolved. He said, the stones fell when I stopped condemning myself. Now imagine yourself in David's place. Whatever accuses you tonight, whisper, I am innocent. I am forgiven. I am free. Sleep in that vision and watch the stones fall silent. Do you recall the miracle of turning water into wine at Cana? The water jars were filled, and by imagination, the ordinary became extraordinary. Neville explained, water is your unconditioned awareness. Wine is your assumption of fulfillment. The moment you clothe water with a new I am, it becomes wine. There was a young woman named Emily who felt her life dull and empty. She whispered, I am ordinary. I am unnoticed. Then she read Neville's teaching, your water is waiting to become wine. That night she whispered, I am extraordinary. I am celebrated. She imagined herself radiant, admired, loved. Within months, her life overflowed with new opportunities. She said, my ordinary life turned into wine. Now imagine yourself in Emily's place. Whatever feels empty, tonight whisper, I am extraordinary. I am celebrated. I am fulfilled. Sleep in that vision, and your water will turn to wine. Do you remember when Jesus said, ask and it shall be given to you, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened unto you? Neville explained, asking is assuming, seeking is persisting, knocking is feeling it real until the door opens. There was a man named Carlos who whispered, I am shut out. Doors are closed to me. He begged, but nothing changed. Then he read Neville's words, knock in imagination until the door opens. That night he whispered, I am inside. I am welcomed. He imagined himself already in the place he longed for. Soon the opportunity came and doors opened. He said, I knocked until imagination opened the door. Now imagine yourself in Carlos's place. Whatever door seems closed, tonight whisper, I am inside. I am welcomed. I am fulfilled. Sleep in that vision, and tomorrow the door will open. Do you remember when Jesus said, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Neville explained, this is not about someone else. It is about you. Your I am is the light that shines, and whatever you assume yourself to be radiates into the world. If you declare, I am weak, your light dims. If you dare to say, I am powerful, I am love, I am abundance, your world cannot help but reflect that brilliance. There was a woman named Diana who whispered, I am invisible, I am overlooked. Her life echoed her assumption. No recognition, no appreciation. Then she read Neville's words, you are the light of the world. That night she whispered, I am radiant, I am seen, I am valued. She imagined herself glowing like a lamp on a hill. Within months, she was promoted at work and surrounded by friends who cherished her. She said, the world only reflected the light I dared to shine. Now imagine yourself in Diana's place. Tonight whisper, I am radiant, I am valued, I am seen. Feel yourself shining like a city on a hill. Sleep in that vision, and your light will be revealed to the world. Do you recall the parable of the barren fig tree that was given one more year? The gardener pleaded, let me dig around it and fertilize it. If it bears fruit, well, if not, then cut it down. Neville explained the tree is your state. Even if it has been barren for years, imagination, the gardener, can renew it. Nothing is too late when you dare to nurture it. There was a man named George who longed for love but whispered, "It is too late for me. I am destined to be alone." His life was a barren tree. Then he read Neville's interpretation. The gardener is your imagination. Dig and fertilize your state. That night he whispered, "I am loved, I am chosen." He imagined tender scenes of affection. Within a year, love blossomed in his life. He said, "My barren tree bore fruit because imagination fed it." Now imagine yourself in George's place. Whatever tree in your life feels barren, health, love, purpose, tonight whisper, "I am fruitful, I am alive, I am fulfilled." Feel the gardener tending your tree. Sleep in that vision, and your branches will blossom. Do you remember the parable of the pearl merchant? He sold all to purchase one pearl of great price. Neville often returned to this image. The pearl is the acceptance that imagination creates reality. To hold it, you must abandon every other belief. No more blaming luck, fate, or chance. Only imagination is the source. There was a woman named Teresa who chased after horoscopes, rituals, and endless secrets. Yet she whispered, "I am confused. I am powerless." Then she read Neville's teaching, "Sell all and buy the pearl." That night she whispered, "I am the operant power. I am creator." She abandoned every other crutch. Her life shifted. Opportunities appeared. Health improved. Love came. She said, "The pearl gave me peace because it gave me power." Now imagine yourself in Teresa's place. Tonight sell all lesser beliefs. Whisper, "I am the operant power. I am the creator of my reality." Sleep in that vision, and the pearl of great price will shine in your life. Do you recall the story of the storm on the Sea of Galilee? The disciples cried in terror, but Jesus slept. They woke him, and he spoke, "Peace, be still." Neville explained, Jesus asleep is imagination at rest in faith. To awaken him is to stir the power within, to command the storm with calm. There was a man named Paul who whispered daily, "I am anxious, I am lost." His life was a storm of fear. Then he read Neville's words, "Peace is not found outside, but inside." That night he whispered, "I am calm, I am steady, I am safe." He imagined the storm within becoming still. Slowly, his life quieted. He said, "The sea obeyed because I found peace inside." Now imagine yourself in Paul's place. Whatever storm surrounds you tonight, whisper, "I am calm, I am steady, I am safe." Feel the waves subsiding in your heart. Sleep in that vision. And tomorrow, the sea will reflect your peace. Do you remember when Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you"? Neville explained, "The kingdom is not a place, but a state of consciousness. Every desire fulfilled, every dream achieved, exists within you now. To find it, you need only turn inward and claim it as true." There was a young man named Matthew who chased wealth in the outer world, but every door closed. He whispered, "I am lacking. I am outside the kingdom." Then he read Neville's teaching, "The kingdom is within you." That night he whispered, "I am abundant. I am prosperous." He imagined himself already wealthy, already free. Soon, new opportunities arrived, and abundance flowed. He said, "The kingdom was not out there, it was inside me." Now imagine yourself in Matthew's place. Tonight whisper, "I am abundant. I am fulfilled. I am free." Feel the kingdom within. Sleep in that vision, and tomorrow the kingdom will unfold in your world. Do you remember the story of the 10 lepers? They cried out for mercy, and Jesus said, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." As they went, they were cleansed. Yet only one returned to give thanks. Neville explained, healing comes in the going, in the assumption of being already whole. Gratitude seals it. There was a woman named Elena who whispered every day, "I am sick, I am broken." Then she read Neville's interpretation. That night she whispered, "I am healed, I am whole." She imagined walking with strength, breathing freely. Within weeks, her condition improved. And every night she whispered thanks. She said, healing came when I walked in the assumption, and gratitude kept me whole. Now imagine yourself in Elena's place. Tonight whisper, I am healed, I am whole, I am free. See yourself walking already strong. Feel gratitude bubbling in your heart. Sleep in that vision, and your body will echo your thanksgiving. Do you recall the parable of the wise builder? One built his house on rock, another on sand. The storm came, and only the house on rock stood. Neville explained, the rock is persistence in your chosen assumption. The sand is doubt and contradiction. Whatever you persist in becomes your foundation. There was a man named Thomas who whispered, I am unlucky, I am cursed. His life collapsed with every storm. Then he read Neville's teaching, build on the rock of assumption. That night he whispered, I am favored, I am blessed. He imagined his home standing firm, his life unshaken. Slowly his world grew stable. He said, the storm did not cease, but my house no longer fell. Now imagine yourself in Thomas's place. Tonight whisper, I am blessed, I am favored, I am secure. See your house standing strong against every storm. Sleep in that truth, and your life will be built on rock. Do you remember the story of the blind Bartimaeus? He cried, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus asked, what do you want me to do for you? He answered, Lord, that I may receive my sight. Neville explained, blindness is the refusal to see beyond appearances. Vision is born the moment you dare to declare what you want, not what you fear. There was a woman named Clara who whispered daily, I am blind to opportunities, I am stuck. Her world reflected only closed doors. Then she read Neville's words, say what you desire, and see it in imagination. That night she whispered, I see clearly, I am guided, I am successful. She imagined doors opening before her. Soon new paths appeared. She said, I was never blind, only looking with the wrong eyes. Now imagine yourself in Clara's place. Tonight whisper, I see clearly, I am guided, I am successful. Feel your vision restored, the way ahead glowing. Sleep in that truth, and your sight will return. Do you recall the parable of the lost coin? A woman had 10 coins and lost one. She lit a lamp, swept the house, and searched until she found it. Neville explained the coin is your forgotten desire. It may seem lost, but it still belongs to you. Light the lamp of imagination, and it will be restored. There was a man named Joseph who once dreamed of traveling the world, but he buried it under work and duty. He whispered, it is lost, I am trapped. Then he read Neville's teaching, search in imagination until the coin is found. That night he whispered, I am free, I am traveling, I am fulfilled. He imagined himself walking foreign streets, tasting new foods. Months later, opportunities opened for him to travel. He said, the coin was always mine. I had only to find it again. Now imagine yourself in Joseph's place. Tonight whisper, I am free, I am fulfilled, I am living my dream. Light the lamp of imagination, sweep your house of doubt, and recover your lost coin. Do you remember the parable of the wedding feast? Guests refused the invitation, so the king brought in strangers from the streets. Yet one man entered without a wedding garment and was cast out. Neville explained, the wedding is the union of desire and imagination. The garment is your assumption. You cannot enter the feast saying, I am poor, I am sick, I am unloved. You must wear the garment of wealth, health, and love. There was a woman named Sophia who longed for abundance, but whispered, I am lacking, I am unworthy. She approached the feast without a garment. Then she read Neville's teaching. So clothe yourself in your desire fulfilled. That night she whispered, I am abundant, I am worthy. She imagined herself dressed in richness, radiance, joy. Soon her life blossomed with prosperity. She said, the feast was waiting, but I had to wear the garment. Now imagine yourself in Sophia's place. Tonight whisper, I am abundant, I am worthy, I am fulfilled. Feel yourself clothed in your desire. Sleep in that vision, and the feast will welcome you. Do you remember the parable of the wheat and the tares. A man sowed good seed in his field, but while he slept, an enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat. When both grew together, the servants asked to pull out the weeds, but the master said, "Let both grow until the harvest." Neville explained, "The wheat is your desired assumption. The tares are your doubts. Both will appear in your mind, but do not uproot in panic. Persist in the good seed, and at harvest the wheat will remain." There was a woman named Hannah who whispered, "I am loved," but every day doubts crept in. "I am unworthy. I am alone." The weeds choked her joy. Then she read Neville's interpretation. "Let the tares grow, but persist in the wheat." That night she whispered, "I am loved. I am cherished." Even when doubt screamed, she persisted. Months later, love blossomed in her life. She said, "The weeds faded because I never stopped watering the wheat." Now imagine yourself in Hannah's place. Tonight whisper, "I am loved. I am cherished. I am fulfilled." Let doubts come if they must, but keep watering your wheat. Sleep in that vision, and the harvest will be yours. Do you recall the story of the widow of Nan? Her only son had died, and she wept. Jesus touched the bier and said, "Young man, I say to you, arise." Neville explained, "The dead son is your seemingly impossible dream. It may appear lifeless, but imagination can call it back to life with one command: arise." There was a man named Samuel who dreamed of becoming an author, but rejection after rejection made him whisper, "My dream is dead." Then he read Neville's words, "Every dream can arise by your assumption." That night he whispered, "I am an author. My words are alive." He imagined holding his published book. A year later, his work was in print. He said, "I told my dead dream to arise, and it stood up." Now imagine yourself in Samuel's place. Tonight whisper, "My dream is alive. I am fulfilled. I am successful." See it rise from the bier. Sleep in that vision, and your dream will stand again. Do you remember the parable of the persistent widow? She came daily to the unjust judge, saying, "Grant me justice." Though he resisted, her persistence wore him down, and he granted her request. Neville explained, "The judge is your outer world, resistant and slow. The widow is imagination, persistent in desire. The world cannot resist a persistent assumption." There was a woman named Claire who longed for financial freedom. Every day, the world said no. She whispered, "I am trapped." Then she read Neville's interpretation, "Be as the persistent widow. Do not yield." That night she whispered, "I am free. I am abundant." She persisted nightly, even when bills came. In time, opportunities opened, debts dissolved. She said, persistence was the key. The judge had to yield. Now imagine yourself in Claire's place. Tonight, whisper, "I am free. I am abundant. I am fulfilled." Persist gently but firmly. Sleep in that vision, and the world will yield to your faith. Do you recall the parable of the talents? One servant buried his talent out of fear, while the others invested theirs and multiplied. Neville explained, talents are not coins, but states. Fear buries them. Faith multiplies them. There was a young man named Daniel who dreamed of starting a business, but whispered, "I am unready. I am small." Seethe, talent lay buried. Then he read Neville's teaching, "Invest your assumption." That night he whispered, "I am capable. I am successful." He imagined clients thanking him, work flowing. Within a year, his business thrived. He said, "My talent multiplied when I dared to assume." Now imagine yourself in Daniel's place. Tonight whisper, "I am capable. I am prosperous. I am bold." See your talent shining. Sleep in that vision, and the world will multiply it. Do you remember the story of Peter's great catch of fish? He toiled all night and caught nothing, but when told to cast the net again, he obeyed, and the net overflowed. Neville explained, the empty nets are efforts without assumption. The overflowing nets are the result of imagining success first. There was a woman named Isabel who worked tirelessly but achieved little. She whispered, "I am unlucky. I am stuck." Then she read Neville's words, Cast your net in imagination first. That night, she whispered, I am successful. I am favored. She imagined her nets breaking with fish. Soon, opportunities multiplied. She said, the fish were always there. I had only to cast the net on the right side. Now imagine yourself in Isabel's place. Tonight whisper, I am successful. I am favored. I am abundant. See your nets full, heavy with blessings. Sleep in that vision, and your catch will come. Do you remember the story of the Good Samaritan? A man was beaten and left on the roadside. A priest passed, then a Levite, both avoiding him. But a Samaritan, considered an outsider, stopped, cared for him, and restored him. Neville explained, the beaten man is your neglected desire. The priest and Levite are your excuses, your reasons for delay. The Samaritan is imagination itself, the one willing to stoop down and care for your desire until it lives. There was a woman named Margaret who longed for companionship, but she whispered, I am too old. I am forgotten. Every time her heart cried out, her mind played the role of priest and Levite, walking past with excuses. Then she read Neville's words, your imagination is the Samaritan, it alone will tend to your desire. That night she whispered, I am loved, I am cherished. She imagined her heart being cared for, restored. Months later, love entered her life. She said, the Samaritan within me did not pass by. Now imagine yourself in Margaret's place. Tonight whisper, I am loved. I am cherished. I am cared for. Feel imagination bandaging your wounds, lifting you, carrying you. Sleep in that vision, and your Samaritan will restore you. Do you recall the parable of the lost sheep? A shepherd left 99 to seek the one that was lost. When he found it, he rejoiced more over the one than over the many. Neville explained, the lost sheep is the state you once cherished but abandoned. The shepherd is imagination, searching until it finds and restores it. There was a man named Philip who once dreamed of being healthy, but after years of illness, he whispered, that dream is lost. Then he read Neville's teaching, your imagination will not rest until the lost sheep is found. That night he whispered, I am healthy, I am whole. He imagined himself walking freely, breathing deeply, slowly. Health returned. He said, my shepherd brought back my lost sheep. Now imagine yourself in Philip's place. Tonight whisper, I am whole. I am restored. I am alive. Feel imagination finding your lost state and carrying it back. Sleep in that vision, and your sheep will return. Do you remember when Jesus said, I am the door. Whoever enters by me will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. Neville explained, the door is your assumption. Each time you declare, I am wealthy, I am free, I am loved, you walk through the door into that pasture. Stay at the door of doubt, and you remain locked out. There was a woman named Ruth who whispered, I am trapped, I am shut out. Then she read Neville's words, your assumption is the door. That night she whispered, I am free, I am welcomed. She imagined herself stepping into a bright field. Opportunities opened before her. She said, the door was never outside. It was in my words, I am. Now imagine yourself in Ruth's place. Tonight whisper, I am free. I am welcomed. I am abundant. Feel yourself stepping through the door into a vast pasture of joy. Sleep in that vision, and the door will stay open. Do you recall the parable of the unforgiving servant? He was forgiven a great debt, but refused to forgive another who owed him little. Neville explained, the debt is the past. When you are forgiven through imagination, you must also forgive others, or you bind yourself again. Forgiveness is freedom. There was a man named Victor who whispered daily, I am bitter. I cannot forgive. His life echoed resentment. Then he read Neville's interpretation. To hold another in debt is to chain yourself. That night he whispered, I forgive. I release. I am free. He imagined himself embracing the one who wronged him. Slowly, bitterness dissolved, and new joy entered his life. He said, when I released him, I released myself. Now imagine yourself in Victor's place. Tonight whisper, I forgive, I release, I am free. See the chains falling. Sleep in that vision, and freedom will rise in you. Do you remember the parable of the sower among thorns? The seed grew, but the thorns of worry and riches choked it. Neville explained, thorns are fears, anxieties, distractions. They do not destroy the seed, but they strangle it. Only when you refuse to feed the thorns does the seed thrive. There was a young woman named Sarah who whispered nightly, I am prosperous, but during the day she murmured, I am in debt, I am afraid. Her thorns strangled her seed. Then she read Neville's teaching, guard your assumption from the thorns. That night she whispered, I am abundant. And each day she silenced the thorns. Within months, her finances shifted. She said, the seed was always alive. The thorns were my thoughts. Now imagine yourself in Sarah's place. Tonight whisper, I am abundant. I am free. I am secure. See the thorns wither. Sleep in that vision, and your seed will grow unhindered. And now, beloved listener, we come to the end of this long journey together. For hours we have walked through ancient parables, through forgotten miracles, through stories of men and women who dared to assume a new identity, and through visions of your own heart coming alive. Yet the truth is simple, and it has always been simple. I am. This is the key, the pearl of great price, the door, the shepherd, the light, the seed, the vine, the resurrection. Every story we have explored tonight is but another garment for this one truth. Your imagination creates reality. Perhaps as you listened, you felt a stirring, a memory of a dream you thought lost, a whisper of a desire you had buried. Tonight I want you to hold it again. Do not say, someday. Do not say, if only. Whisper now, I am. Feel the truth of it. No matter how faint, no matter how small, that seed will grow, that door will open, that stone will roll away. You are not a beggar at the gates of life. You are the operant power. You are the dreamer. And your dream is the world. Every scene you live begins within you. And though the world may shout, though doubts may rise like weeds, persist in the good seed. The harvest is sure. So tonight, as you prepare to sleep, I invite you to carry one simple thought into the silence. I am what I desire to be. Not tomorrow, not one day, now. Feel it real. Let it be the last thought before your eyes close. Let sleep carry it deep into the soil of your subconscious. And when you awaken, watch as life arranges itself to reflect your faith. If you have stayed with me until this moment, you are not like the many who pass by these truths. You are among the few who dare to listen, to persist, to believe. That already sets you apart. You are already chosen, already blessed, already loved. So I thank you deeply for sharing these hours together. I honor your persistence, your hunger, your courage. And if this message has touched you, if these words have opened something in you, I invite you to share your journey with us. Leave a comment with your story, your desire, or the miracle you are daring to assume tonight. Your words may be the very light another person needs. Subscribe to this channel so that together we can continue exploring the hidden treasures of Neville Goddard's wisdom, secrets that the world has almost forgotten, but that you and I are bringing back to life. And above all, do not just listen, apply. Tonight, when you close your eyes, put it to the test. For as Neville himself said, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So dare to assume, dare to persist, dare to believe, for you are the light of the world. Thank you for being here. Until we meet again, may you walk in the certainty that your imagination is God, and that with Him all things are possible. Good night, sleep well, and dream bravely.